Good afternoon, students. My name is Sukriti Arora and I am Dr. Jyoti Arora. On behalf of Board of Studies, we would like to welcome you all on today's revisionary class on Intermediate Paper 7A Enterprise Information Systems. We are almost on the last leg of the series of the webinars that have been happening for final and intermediate subjects. So we would here not be discussing much about the universal facts or the tips and tricks that you need to follow. For example, you would have got a deep insight about how to manage the stress, how to manage your time before examination from other faculties. So we would be concentrating a lot on the specific details and the tips that we would love to share with you regarding the paper 7A Enterprise Information Systems. And we assure you that by the end of the session, you would have certain takeaways that would be very much beneficial for you to prepare more or in a much better way for your examination. So for the November 2022 examination, all those who are preparing for it, we assume that by now you would have done the first understanding of the entire course. So now when you are revising the content, there would be little carefulness that you need to apply so that when you are preparing, simultaneously you are taking care of those small little things that would be very much important for you to deliver the best in your examination. No matter how hard you have studied, but end of the day, it is how you present your answers in the examination. So while reading, you need to keep this in mind that I am preparing for the examination, and no matter how hard or well I have understood the topic, end of the day I need to bring all that into writing in my examination sheet. So here we would be discussing certain tips, we would be giving certain instructions to you that you can keep in mind while recapitulating for your entire syllabus, and those little things would matter a lot when it will be for scoring the examination. So not to waste much of your time, we will start with a very brief introduction about the paper, that is paper 7A Enterprise Information Systems. So here we can see that the paper pattern that you have, it is of 50 marks, which is in combination with Strategic Management paper 7B. So the paper that we have of 50 marks is divided into two parts. The first part is comprising of multiple choice questions and the second part comprises of the descriptive questions. Now the multiple choice questions, they are introduced to avoid the rote learning, but at the same time it would require a thorough understanding of the topics. So when you will be recapitulating, you have to know that it is not only the entire content that I need to learn, but I need to develop the understanding also, because the MCQs that are going to be there can be from any part of your study material, and till the time you haven't done a thorough reading of the study, you will not be able to attempt the question. And the best part is that these MCQs do not require any rote learning, but they only simply require the conceptual understanding. And it is of 15 marks, which is a compulsory section. So if you are thorough with the content, you can very well score full on full. So the 15 marks question paper that belong to multiple choice questions is a compulsory part, and it will have one ICS. ICS means you will have an integrated case scenario. What does it mean? It means that the case scenario will belong to different chapters. The case scenario would be such that it would test your analytical and application skills from the entire course. It would not specifically belong to a particular chapter. So there will be one case scenario, and based on that case scenario, you will have maximum 5 questions. They may vary from 3 to 5, and each question will be of 2 marks. So while reading the question in the examination, the case scenario, you have to understand, and then when the question comes, you firstly need to analyze that which topic is it belonging to and which chapter does it belong to. Then you will be able to zero down the application and you will be able to get the answer. The remaining questions, supposedly an ICS have only say 4 questions, So there will be one independent question that will again be of 2 marks, which will be an application oriented question. So this way you will have 10 marks paper based on MCQs, and they would most likely be belonging to the integrated case scenario. So this will check your holistic understanding of the entire course. Then the remaining 5 marks question, we will have 5 questions of 1 mark each. They will again test your comprehension and knowledge skill set. So this way, if you are thorough with the understanding of the entire course, you will be able to score 100 on 100. And it has been a trend that since these MCQs have been introduced, the passing percentage of the students have increased tremendously in the paper of enterprise information systems. So we would emphasize here that you please bring the conceptual understanding. Yeah, we do understand that when you are reading, there are a lot of things that you simply need to understand. But from examination point of view, you don't need to reproduce them because the questions would not get framed from those topics. But in the MCQ part, there can be any question derived out of any topic. So you have to have a thorough understanding. Then comes the descriptive questions, which is part B. Here, the question number 1 is of 5 marks. It will have 2 subparts of 2 and 3 marks. So here again, 5 mark question is compulsory. So if you see, out of 50 marks, we have 20 marks paper, which is compulsory. Jyoti ma'am, can you elaborate?
Yeah. Question number 1 is, as ma'am told you in descriptive part, total number is, question number 1 is compulsory, which has the 2 subparts. One is of the 3 marks, second is of the 2 marks. So that means in the total, compulsory question carries the 5 marks. Out of the second part, that is question number 2 to 5, each question has 2 subparts. One is of the 6 marks and another is of the 4 marks. But out of these 4 questions, you only have to attempt 3 questions. So out of 40, you need to write the question of the 30 marks. So in totality, 35 marks of your descriptive and 15 marks of your objective type, that is MCQ. As ma'am rightly said that if you have thorough understanding of the subject, thorough understanding of each and every topic, then you get full on this 15 marks, which is your MCQ base or the multiple choice question.
Right. So moving on next, we have here the skill wise and section wise weightages. So the comprehension and knowledge part, it basically belongs to the questions which we talk about the steps in listing, or we want to say that define a particular topic. So the questions which are direct and straightforward would fall under the category of comprehension and knowledge. Whereas analysis and application based questions would formulate a part of a small case. Maybe a small case is posed in the question. So you firstly need to analyze that which particular topic does it belong to. Then when you are able to identify the topic, you will be able to check on for the chapter also in your mind. And then you will have to write the answer. So the distribution that we have is of 40% to 65% for C and K, and A and A is for 35 to 60%. And the beauty of the subject is that each chapter carries the equal distribution. That means we have 15% to 25% weightage for each unit. So what does it mean? It means that each chapter is of equal marks. So you cannot afford to simply miss out any chapter because it is going to cost you almost 1/5 of your entire weightage. That is, if you are not studying a particular chapter, that means you have not prepared for 10 marks out of 50 marks. So the number one thing that you need to keep in mind is that there is no scope for you to go on for the selective study. You have to be very, very thorough, and each chapter carries the equal weightage. So here we have simply listed what are the units, and then we have simplified here the weightages and the contents that are there in each chapter. Now moving on next, now we would be seeing certain questions, and we would, through the help of the questions, would try to highlight that how well you can give your answers in the examination and what small care you need to keep so that if you are preparing, you prepare even more better for the examination. A quick recapitulation for, as you are already aware, a quick recapitulation of the editions that are going to be applicable. So we know study material September 21 is applicable, and there is a booklet January 2022 edition that you have to solve each and every question so that you become very thorough in the MCQ part, which is of 15 marks and a compulsory set of the question paper. Then the RTP, November 22 examination RTP, you have to have. And then just soon after the completion of these webinars, we are going to start with the mock test papers, 2 series. So first series we will have from 27 and the second series we will have after the completion of the first series. So we would request that most of you should try giving these mock test papers, and the way the faculties have been telling you to prepare, you try giving those tips in your mind while answering, and then just see what kind of a gaps are still there and try filling those gaps in the mock test paper too, so that by the starting of your examination you are well prepared for how to write the answers in your examination. Then the live virtual classes, they are already there. So if any technical problems you have, you can always reach out to us. But at the same time, we do have the live virtual class recorded sessions. They are there in the mobile app. So you can always refer those sessions to clarify your doubts. And in the end, we have the capsules, which is available on the BoS Knowledge portal. They are the, for the quick recapitulation, we have produced a summarized form of the entire course chapter wise in the tabular form or maybe in the chart or diagrammatic form. So you at the end of the completion of your course can refer to these capsules so that it just provide you a quick recapitulation of the entire course. Now for chapter 1, now we will start with each and every chapter, and we will just try giving you, with the help of certain examples, that what are the HG comments, what are the observations that we have seen by consulting lot many students and by seeing the comments which we receive from the head examiners, that what is basically the area where students tend to lose the marks. It's not the understanding that they don't have, it's only how they write the answers that matter the most. So we will be telling you certain tips here that you need to keep in mind when you are recapitulating the entire syllabus. So here, chapter number 1, we see that the chapter name is Automated Business Processes, and we have certain points here that is a quick overview of the entire syllabus in the chapter 1. Now we have seen that we have chapter 1 here. We have enterprise business processes, which are again divided into operational, supporting, management. We have business process automation. So it is giving me a quick overview of the entire topics that are there in chapter 1. So practically speaking, if you wish to know whether you have prepared well for your chapter 1 or not, you simply need to keep on ticking on yes. If risk management strategies are there, if I have done that, means this particular part is done from my side. Similarly, if I'm talking about the controls, okay, controls are done, I will simply click on this. So it is a kind of a checklist for you to check whether I have done my entire chapter thoroughly and in its entirety or not. So this is given, but at the same time, we will expect that you create your own flowcharts also. So if there is a topic, say controls, and there are say 5 type of controls, you prepare your own flowchart. Controls, what are the 5 type of controls are there. So the moment you are through with one control, you tick on to that, second control, tick on to that. So if you are through with all those controls, that means any question that would belong to the topic of controls, you will be able to answer properly. So the point number 1 that you need to keep in mind is that we have been seeing that students simply write the headings whenever the question comes. Now, what does it mean? It means that all the headings that are there, students simply write those headings. Whereas what is expected is that the heading points need to be elaborated according to the marks allotted to the question. Now, if the question suggests that list down the activities involved in a particular process, so I will have to only list down those activities. I will simply give the headings. But if the question is elaborate the steps that are involved in any particular process, or maybe explain the steps involved in a process, I have to elaborate. And how much do I need to elaborate depend upon the marks that are allotted to that question. For example, we will take or we will just explain this point with the help of a question. Now, what question? Suppose the management of ABC company is planning to adopt the automation of its major business processes. Mr. X has been requested to explain the steps involved in the implementation of BPA to the members of management. Now, prepare detailed note for Mr. X. So it has been seen that whatever steps that are there in the business process automation, we have 8 steps. Simply students are writing the headings. Whereas what the question is saying that we have to prepare a detailed note. What does it mean? That means I have to elaborate the points that are there involved in the BPA implementation. Now, if the question is of, we know that in the descriptive part, either the question is of 6 marks or it's of the 4 marks. But because this particular question is a process, right? BPA implementation is a process. So it's not that if it's of 4 marks, I will simply write 4 steps and I will get the marks. No. Irrespective of the numbers allotted to it, I will have to mention all the 8 points that are there. Number 1. Number 2, I need to elaborate also. But how much do I elaborate now will be decided by the numbers allotted to it. So first of all, there are times when we write the answers corresponding to the marks. Suppose it's an open-ended question, write the characteristics or the benefits of BPA. So it's an open-ended question. I will write according to the marks allotted to it. But if it's a process, I have to mention all the points. And number 2, which is very important, is I need to keep in mind the sequence also. It's not that step 4 will come before step 1, because output of a particular step will be the input for the other step, subsequent step. So we will have to mention all the steps. And now suppose I will see step number 1. Define why we plan to implement a BPA. Now here, if we see in the study material, we have got lot of text. So it is not required by you to mention all these things. Suppose the question is of say 6 marks, I will simply be explaining a particular point with respect to the marks. So I will explain this point maximum for 1 mark. So I will be giving the crux of this particular step, that why we want to implement the BPA. For example, if I talk about the attendance system, I have a manual attendance system in my firm and I am facing certain problems that there is overwriting, people are changing the timings of their coming and going, and there is so much of overwriting, and then end of the day people are fighting. So what would I do? I generate a requirement that no, this manual attendance system needs to be automated. So we have to generate a requirement. So we have to define why do we want to implement the BPA. So here when we talk about all this, there are lot many things which are given here, but here we will simply be talking about when we need to elaborate is that you have to generate the requirement. So you will explain that point particular to that particular step. And likewise, you have second step that we need to understand the rules and regulations. Like in this case only, we have the Wages Act. So when we have the Wages Act, that how the salary of the employees will get calculated, that regulation I need to put while automating that. Okay, what time person is entering, what time person is going out, whether it's a half day. So that salary calculation part also need to be understood based on the rules and regulations that are, if applicable to a particular process. So this way we see that we have 8 subpoints, and then you cannot say that step 3 will precede step 1. There cannot be any exchange of the steps, that okay, step 1 मुझे पहले याद आ गया, followed by step 4, then step 3. No, I've already been mentioning that you have to have the sequence of the steps. You need to keep this in mind. Step 3, step 4. So we are saying that there is a lot of content which is there in the study material, but at the same time, जब याद करने लगते हैं, so we think, oh no, we have to explain these many things. No, because the question is of 6 marks and there are already 8 steps involved in it. So I will be explaining each and every step maximum pertaining to 1 mark. But there again, specific questions are very much required. You cannot write a general answer. Suppose step number 4, define the objective goals to be achieved by implementing BPA. So if a student, it's a very important step of the BPA implementation. We have to define the objectives and goals. Do you expect an examiner to give you the marks? No, because you haven't given the correct explanation what is actually meant by the step 4, which is that we need to define the objective. So here we would like to emphasize that you kindly concentrate on the content, but in the examination you have to produce the answer in such a way that it commensurates with the marks allotted to it. And then likewise, BPA consultant we have to have. We will have to hire the person who is going to make the automation done in my firm, and then I will calculate the ROI, whether the financial feasibility is there or not. It shouldn't be a case कि 5 रुपए का फायदा हुआ जिसके लिए मेरे को 50 रुपीज स्पेंड करने लगे. So I have to keep a balance also that whether this project is worthy enough to be invested or not. Then we have step number 7, then we will have to, if the financial feasibility is there, we will develop the BPA, and lastly, we will test the BPA. So with the help of this question, I have tried explaining you that no matter how much the content is there in the study material, you have to produce the answer. And yes, the common questions that I am getting from Mr. Krishna Sharma is asking whether we can write answers in our language. Of course, you can write the answers, but the way I have been telling that there cannot be any compromise on the technicality, first of all. And secondly, you have to give the specific answers. A generalized answer will not work because it is a technical paper which has a practical implementation in our day-to-day life. So the way I am talking to you cannot be written the way in the examination. So there have to be certain ways, and those ways are nothing but the technical keywords. You have to mention, an examiner would look on for those particular keywords that belong to that particular topic. Now, second question, it's an MCQ. To make a success in the business and to reduce the timing of manual work, the organization should implement BPA, right? Which involves the documentation as well. Which of the following is not a benefit of documentation of BPA implementation? Now, you will see ये कहाँ से आ गया? We have not done, there is no such topic in the study material. But because we have just seen a particular topic here, in the step number 3, where we had talked about document the process we wish to automate, right? We have also talked about the benefits of the documentation. So we have to see what are the points that are there, that the documentation provides us clarity on the process. It determines the sources of inefficiency, bottlenecks, and problems in the existing process. And then it allows designing the process to focus on the desired result with workflow automation. So now we see that it is a point which has been covered under a step, which is step number 3. So till the time you haven't established an understanding of the topic, you will not be able to attend this particular question. So you will fumble on it. You will say, from where has this question come? It seems to be an out of course question, and so many other rumors will float into the market that there was a question which was not based on the study material. So here I have already seen. So we see that this is a defined process. This is the benefit of documentation. This is benefit. So all the first 3 are the benefits. So I will rule out the possibility of ABC as answer, and the answer will come out to be number D, which is design new policy format. So we have seen that the same question It can come as a theory, which involves a lot of description. It can come as an MCQ. And there could be one question also that what are the steps of BPA? Choose the correct sequence of the steps of BPA. So there also there will be lot many options. All the 8 steps will be jumbled, out of which there will be one particular answer which would be correct. So what will happen? That you will have to select, and you will be able to select only when you have established a direct thorough understanding. Yes, Mr. Sandeep, option D is correct. Very well said. Right? So we will be floating certain questions wherein we would be talking about all the possibilities through which a question can be posed to you. So you need to have a understanding of all this. Now the point number 2. Ma'am.
Point number 2 says write the answer according to the requirement of the question. What is asked in the question need to be catered within the answer. As ma'am rightly told you, whenever you are reading, when you are studying, you must specify what is the demand of the question. What question has said. Like in the previous question, you said if it says a list, so you have to list all the 8 points of the BPA implementation. But if we say explain or discuss, then you have to explain each and every point. So it is very much to understand what is the demand of the question, what question has asked, and you need to take care of your answer accordingly.
Like ma'am, just to mention here, many times the question comes, what are the benefits of say any process? And students write the correct mistakes. So you have to see what the question requires.
So the next question on the basis of that thing, and Mr. Krishna, it is the answer of your question also. Like question says in an organization, effective risk management involves identification of high risk, high level risk exposures and their analysis. Discuss various risk management strategies out of which senior management may choose to adopt any one based on its analysis of risk, or it may come in this form. After defining risk appetite, strategies are set to manage those risks. Explain any 4 risk management strategies. We know that there are 4 types of risk management strategies. So it directly asks you to explain 4 types, and here it says various risk management strategies. So according to the box, with the respect to questions, you need to explain. Ma'am rightly explained in the same way. Now, here we know that there are the 4 types of the risk management strategies: tolerate, terminate, transfer, and treat. So while writing any answer, you need to make sure that in every explanation or every topic, there are certain keywords. So you need to mention that keywords. Whether you are writing in your language, in any form, any language, you are most welcome. But the technicality of the answer should not be changed. Like here, if we take about this tolerate or the accept the risk, it says one of the primary function of managing the risk. Some risks considered to be minor, so their impact or the probability of the occurrence is a low. So this is the main keyword for the tolerate or the accept the risk. So that should not be overturned. इसको नहीं भूलना है, इसको लिखना ही लिखना है. Otherwise, if you say that is one of the primary function, no. Every function is important to manage the risk. So every strategy is important. Depends on what condition in we are. Right? For example, if I given over here, risk acceptance, the planning of the potential production delay. Since it's often difficult to predict precise disability, delay should it in advance. So accept the risk. Like in last year, we have seen COVID-19 was there. So we cannot escape, but we have to accept or tolerate the risk. So how can we? Not to go outside, not to roam around, take the proper precaution, use the mask, having the proper vaccination, likewise. So this is the main keyword that you need to write over here. In the second way, it comes as a terminate or eliminate the risk. So in that case, it says there are certain risks which have a high probability or impact values are very high. So it is better to modify your project accordingly. So only then you can terminate the risk. So examples are also given over here. So it is highly advisable when you are writing. You need to explain and then you can write the example. But only writing the example, not explaining it, you won't get the marks. Example is only to support whatever you have written in that. So in the next point, it says transfer or share the risk, and the 4th point it says that treat and mitigate the risk. It may so happen it only asks write a short note on the transfer or the share the risk risk management strategies. Then you have to explain accordingly. It says like in the previous question, it says explain the various type of the risk management strategies. You have to explain all the four. And if you are having a thorough understanding with example, with the keywords on that, you can have any MCQ based on that, and you can write the answer and you can find out the easily answer. Like next question that we have is based on the same topic but MCQ. It says the risk management strategy that is followed by an organization. In the case, the impact on the probability of the risk is very low. Which type of the risk management strategy would be followed in this case? So here we can see question asks you about the risk management strategy. So you have to find out the risk management strategies.
Can we ask the question because ma'am has already explained? Any options? If students can just provide us the correct answer. We're just waiting for another 10 seconds, else we will discuss. Ma'am, students may be giving the answer. Okay.
So read the question again. Risk management strategies that is followed by an organization. In the case, the impact and the probability of the risk is very low. So this is the key point in this question, where right now we have discussed
A. Many students have given the answer A.
Yes, very rightly
said.
It's mentioned over here. Keyword is that risk probability is very low. Yeah.
Janesha, Harish, Neelabzo,
Anita.
Akriti. Yeah, all have given the answer
answer.
correctly. Anita also, yes.
Okay, the question, Anmol, can the point be same as the book and explanation we are following? Yes, Anmol. As I rightly said that, and ma'am also explained in the beginning, and she has explained few questions based on that. You can write in your own language, but never ever forget to the technicality of the question. Like if the heading is there are the 4 headings given over here, or the 4 type of risk management strategies are there. So you have to write this heading over there, and explanation you can write in your own language. बार बार एक ही चीज हम कह रहे हैं, आप अपनी लैंग्वेज में लिखिए, लेकिन टेक्निकल वर्ड को मिस मत कीजिए. अगर आप टेक्निकल वर्ड को मिस करेंगे वाज राइटिंग योर ओन लैंग्वेज, और इफ यू आर सेइंग लाइक इफ आई एम राइटिंग हियर say the risk management strategy I have written over here, say transfer the risk, I have given the example, but you have not explained over here that it is shared with the trading partners, which is the main keywords over here.
And MCQ will test this understanding only. They will only simply be giving you a certain keyword and then you will have to zero down the answer. So till the time you don't know which is the uniqueness of that particular concept, they'll not be able to attend it. So one has to be very thorough.
जैसे अभी हमने इस क्वेश्चन में भी देखा है, like question number 4, I marked over here, this is the impact and the probability of the risk is very low. This is a key point in this question.
Yeah.
This is a key point in the question. If you have a thorough understanding of all the risk management strategies, then easily student have mentioned over that yes, answer is A, because they have understood the key point over here.
Ma'am, Miss Akriti is asking, can we make diagrams to support our answer?
Yes, you can.
Yeah, but then it doesn't, replace the exact requirement of the question. So if you are making the diagram, it doesn't ensure that you are going to get, say, more marks because it is not required. It's not a necessary requirement of the question. So if you want to make the diagrams, you can make, but it does not replace what is actually required in the question. So we've been telling that when you are preparing for your subject, right, to make small diagrams of each chapter.
Yeah, chapters. Like in the beginning, ma'am has explained you with the flowchart of the chapter, the topics there are in, so that you can give the complete understanding of each topic and what are inside the topic. And Harsh is saying about, ma'am, in case answer goes too long, for example, types of risk in such question, there are several subheadings. How much point have to be written? Harsh, if you are, Harish, if you have heard about to the man, she has very well explained, like in the first question she has explained, there are 8 steps in that question and the question comes over 6 marks. You cannot escape a single step over here because all the 8 steps make a complete cycle, a complete process of BPA implementation. But yes, of course, if it is of 6 marks, you can limit or you can say the lower down your explanation. उसको थोड़ा कम कर सकते हैं because if you distribute the marks in 8 points, so each point approximately get the 1 marks. So 1 mark के लिए explanation would be enough. But yes, you have to write all the points over here. You cannot escape any single point over here.
Well, just one more thing I would like to highlight here in the question that ma'am has just dealt, right? I think you want it to be given with the help of an example. Suppose this question comes with of 4 marks. So that means, and the question is that discuss all the 4 risk management strategies. So what is required here? That you need to mention all the 4 strategies. But yes, because the question is of 4 marks, each strategy that you have is to be explained only for 1 mark. Getting my point? So ma'am has already told you that when we are going to write about the toilet except the risk, just mention the uniqueness of that particular strategy. So when the moment you will mention about this, that the impact and probability of occurrence is low, wherein we can go for the toilet and accept the risk, and you just need to mention this whole corresponding to 1 mark. Similarly, this particular strategy again for 1 mark. So no matter how much content is there, but you will have to make it corresponding to 1 mark. But suppose if the question here comes, say, discuss any 2. Suppose it says explain any 2 risk management strategies. Then you can explain any 2, but each strategy would now be of
2 marks.
2 marks. So you will have to accordingly modify the answer. There is no direct rule that we can mention, but yes, always write according to the marks that are allotted. Many times I have seen that students are comfortable in a particular topic, so they will keep on writing in length about that topic. But suppose the question is of say 4 marks only, you cannot get more than 4 on it. So you will be losing on time, you will be losing on your energy if you unnecessarily mention lot of things because you know about it, so you keep on writing about it, and there are certain things where you are not comfortable, and then you just try getting pass from that particular thing. So that shouldn't be a case. And one more thing I would emphasize, ma'am, here, that if plus minus 2, 3, 4 marks decide your fate of passing and failing. I again repeat, if plus minus 3 or 4 marks decide your passing or failing in the paper, that means your preparation is not up to the mark. Because the subjectivity concern will always be there. Suppose you, even if it's we see in our day-to-day life, somebody gives a speech, somebody likes, somebody doesn't. So the subjectivity issue is there. So these are the technical questions, so there will not be much of the subjectivity. But still, suppose you are getting 3 on 4 and somebody is expecting 4 on 4. So if losing on these 1 point or 0.5 marks decide your fate of passing and failing, so we have to prepare for 100%. Hannah, ma'am?
Yeah.
100%.
Here I would like to
Yeah.
say one point which we have recently seen because one of the students they have come. Like if the question demands about over here, discuss any 4 risk management strategies. Like rightly ma'am said, if you know the topic, you start writing on it. You forget about what the question demands. So what they do, they simply write about what is the risk, what are the different types of the risk, and at the last, with only 1 or 2 points, they explain, okay, these are the risk management strategies. So in that case, you will say, कि, okay, मैंने तो risk भी explain किया, management भी explain किया, types of risk भी explain किया. But the question only says about the risk management strategies. So your main focus should be on the risk management strategies, not any of the irrelevant answer. As ma'am rightly said that the topic you know, you start writing on it. It's not only filling the pages. It's only to write the right answer, but as demand of the question.
Yes. Ma'am, there are few queries. We can take some. Like Harish is asking, ma'am, in case of questions asked to explain about the steps, we can write all steps. But if the question asks for types and controls, how many points have to be written? Now, again, Harish, just look on for the marks allotted to it. Suppose there are 6 marks that are allotted to it. So I'll have to mention six risks vis-a-vis their controls, right? What happens? Students write only 3 risks and 3 controls, that too independent. Whereas the question says, अगर रिस्क है corresponding control क्या है? अगर आग लगी तो फायर एक्सटिंग्विशर होना चाहिए. ऐसा नहीं आग लग गई, वाटर लीकेज है और मैं ऐसे सिंपल कंट्रोल्स मेंशन कर रही हूँ कि सीसीटीवी लगा दो. Those controls need to belong to the risk that I am talking about, because the question would say that you will have to mention the corresponding controls to the risks. So I cannot give 2 independent risks and 2 independent controls. I need to mention. So whenever the question is of risks and controls, we prefer the answer to be given in the tabular form. यहाँ पे risk लिखिए, इधर में control लिखिए. So it shows a clear understanding. And one more thing, somebody is asking that ma'am, it's very difficult. Krishna is asking, ma'am, it's very difficult for me to learn technical words. Dekho Krishna, what I am saying is that if you keep on reading the study material only, this is the only thing that you will get in your mind. It's not that I am studying from book X and I need to learn from book Y. So more and more I will give a thorough reading of the study. Those technical words only will come in my mind, and for learning purpose, you need to write them. It shouldn't be a case कि मैंने recipe देखी and I have directly started cooking. You need to do certain rehearsals, and the writing is that rehearsal. So if you will introduce the writing component while preparing, आप देखेंगे that your preparation, your confidence level increases immensely, right?
मैम ने बिगिन में ही कहा था कि you have to attempt both the MTP and RTP. So when you attempt that MTP or RTP, you will find out what are the mistakes. Critical check your answer. What I have missed over here. So I should not forget that main point. That is the main idea of the question. So like this is make you separate. You are a professional degree holder. So you are doing a professional degree. So for that you need to write in a proper technical language. You cannot just write in a general way. कि ऐसा हो गया तो इसलिए हमने किया. No. So in every question we try to mark what are the keywords.
मैम आकृति भी पूछ रहे हैं, what is the best way to write descriptive answers in bullets or in paragraphs?
Akriti, वैसे if I say that I will prefer to write in a bullets.
Yeah, because it's readable.
Readable.
It's readable, and then because your question demands you to write, say, 4 characteristics about, say, anything. Suppose just an example. So if you will write all those 4 points in paragraph, examiner is confused. He would have to find those 4 points on his own. But if you give in bullets, it is very much readable, and scoring will also be easier for you.
And that's easy for you also.
Yeah.
What you have written and what you have missed out.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Now the next is we would here discuss one flowchart. I will be simply reading the flowchart for you. It's very much there from your study material. And broadly speaking, if you will just see the conditions. So first of all, whenever we have to draw a flowchart, or we have to give the output of the flowchart, or the question may come that we find the mistakes in the flowchart, right? So any type of a question can be framed. There could be a flowchart. They would ask you to get the output, and then if not that, then there would be certain wrong symbols that they might have used in making the flowchart. They may ask you to identify those, or they may ask you to prepare a flowchart. Okay. So here, if the flowchart is there, you have to draw a flowchart. So these are the 3 conditions that a company is selling 3 types of products, ABC, and there are 2 types of customers, dealer and the retailer, right? And then there are certain conditions that are applicable on these type of products or the type of customers, and accordingly we need to find the flow chart. So firstly, flow chart, what does it mean? It means that the set of activities that you would perform to evaluate under the given conditions that is given to me. So I need to firstly define what all I am considering. So we will have to define the abbreviations. So here, according to the need, we will define that, okay, I need to define the type of product, type of the customer, what is the value of the order, discount offered, and final bill amount. How do I derive these abbreviations? From seeing the question that, okay, I have to see whether the customer is type of dealer or retailer. So I need to define a type of the customer. Then at the same time, I need to see the product type also, because it depends, it's a criteria. Then I need to calculate the discount. So I need to have an abbreviation for the discount as well. Then the value of the order, irrespective of the value of order, but I need to read that value to calculate the discount. So like this way, I will have to define certain abbreviations. Now I need to be very thorough about the symbols that are used in the flowchart, right? Khushi, I am explaining a flowchart. You just see to it. Fine. So we know that the start and stop symbol for any flowchart is this. We will firstly start, and then we will initialize. Initialize means that we are setting the value of the discount, because end of the day I need to find the discount, because that is going to decided the final billing amount. That how much is the discount? Accordingly, I will be able to find the final bill. So I need to initialize the discount as 0. Then we will initially read the product type. What are the product? What is the type of the product? Whether it's of A, B or C. Then I will have to see customer type, that what is the type of the customer, whether it is the retailer or the dealer. And then I will need to read the value of the order, how much is the cost of the order. Now the conditions get implemented. The first thing is, suppose here we see the first condition. What does it say? It says that if the product is of type A, the discount is how much? 10%. So I firstly need to see what is the type of the product. If it is of category A, I will directly calculate the discount of 10% on it. So what will I do here? I will read the product type, and if here we see that the diamond shape is for yes or no conditions. So if this condition is true, yes, I will calculate the discount of 10%, which is 0.10 on of the value order. Now, if the product type is not A, then we will check whether the product type is B. Now, what is the second condition? We will go back to the question. We will see that on product B, 8% discount is allowed to the retailers. So, retailers को 8% discount है and 12% discount is given to the dealers. So, I now need to check if the product is of type B, then I need to now check on the type of customers, whether the customer is retailer or the customer is dealer. तो उसके हिसाब से we will calculate the discount. So we will now again go back to our diagram flowchart. So here we have seen for the product type, yes, product type is B. Then we will see whether the customer is dealer or the customer is retailer. If the customer is dealer, the discount is allowed of 10-12%. And here, if the customer type is retailer, then the discount is allowed of 15%. So here we will see similarly for third category also, that if the customer type, here again we will go back to the question. On product C, 15% discount is allowed to retailers irrespective of the value of order, and 20% discount to the dealers if the value of order is minimum of rupees 10,000. So likewise, you can keep on checking for the conditions, and in the end of the thing, what we can do is that you have been able to calculate the discounts for each and every condition. Discounts as in what is given. So all these values, depending on the condition, would go on for the final processing, wherein we will be calculating the final bill amount. And how much will be the final bill amount? That what the value of the order is, we have to minus or subtract the discount out of it, and the person will have to pay that much of final bill account. And the discount also needs to be printed. So whatever is required to be printed, we will just simply use this rhombus because it is for the printing purpose, giving the output in the writing form, and then we will stop our flowchart. So you have to see the logic. It's not a rocket science, but we have seen that it is students get quite perplexed after seeing this type of a question. But if you will start drawing on your own, you will be able to very well understand and appreciate that it's not that very tough to draw a flowchart. Yes, abbreviations you can define on your own. Some may define it as P_T. Somebody may define customer type as C_T. So that's not a common criteria. You can define your own abbreviations. But yes, you have to mention that what abbreviation signifies what. And then you need to use those abbreviations and the correct symbols. And end of the day, the final output which is required to be given should be available. So you will see that. So you will, how do you test? You will use different assumptions and try passing those assumptions in your diagram and see whether the required output is coming to you or not, right?
If this type of question comes, it's a very scoring, full on full. There are so many questions given in your study material also and in your MTP, RTP also. So you try to follow and try to solve those questions. So the next topic that comes under computer related offenses. So there are certain kind of offenses which are related to computer, maybe stolen of devices, phishing, hacking, changing the identification. So there are certain crimes that after that IT Act 2000, they have defined certain laws. So in that case, I can simply say you have to learn exactly whatever it is written over here. You cannot make any changes on that because these are the act. So every act defined about certain punishment or penalty regarding to the certain kind of a computer offenses, they are there. So here we have the list that is also present in the study material in chapter number 1. Likewise, it says section 43 is about the penalty and the compensation for the damage to the computer and computer system. Whereas section 43 says compensation to failure to protect the data. And likewise, we have the various sections, section 65, 66, 66B, 66C, and 66D, 66E. So these are the various sections, these are the defined under IT Act.
We have selected here very limited sections which are related to the offenses and uncomputer related offenses. Yeah, and most of the time it's in the MCQ part. You need to identify that under such a situation, like ma'am would be discussing a question. So you will have to see which particular section gets implemented.
And even if you, even if you see that it comes directly to your examination also, that explain, say section 66 that belongs to punishment for dishonestly receiving stolen computer resources, or they may simply ask explain the section 66B. So you should know about what about the section, what are the punishment, how this section has been explained over here. So here we, if I take the one question on base of that, Mr. X and Mr. Y are the employees of XYZ Limited Company. In the office during the lunch time, when Mr. X was not on the seat, Mr. X stole pen drive of Mr. Y containing some confidential information from his system, under which of the following section of Information Technology Act 2000 is Mr. X can be held guilty. Now we have to find out what are the crime over here, what is the offense over here. So if you see, the main offense is that he has stolen the pen drive to get some information over here. So if we have the know about each and every act over here, so every act is defined over here vis-a-vis what type of the for which offenses it defined on. So if I expect can see the thing. So it's answer.
Can we get the answer? Okay, answer is already there. But we would be posing certain MCQs to you where we would expect an active participation from your side.
Yes.
Right?
It says section 66B, because I have mentioned over here stolen of a pen drive. So it's mentioned over the punishment for the dishonestly receiving stolen computer resources. So pen drive is one of the computer resource that has the information over here. So he has stolen that, so he would be felt guilty under the section 66.
Mr. Nilabjo gave the answer. 66B.
Okay.
Good.
Well done. So the next is chapter 2. So Harish want to know some heading under objective type controls that confuse me a lot. Wait for it, Harish. In chapter number 3, ma'am will very well explain you how to learn this kind of the objective. So how to you can make a flowchart, how you can learn on that. In EISSN, keywords or the technical words are necessary. SMS audit paper.
Of course. It's a technical paper. We have been emphasizing a lot on this. Suppose I will give you an example. Suppose I have a hanky with me, right? Okay. Now, if I want to talk about this hanky, or if I would say describe the hanky, okay. So what do I expect? Will you write the answer? It's a cloth. It's made up of jute or something. But when I'm talking about a particular hanky, what do I expect? I expect that I would be given certain specifications about that particular hanky. Likewise, if I want to ask, suppose Mr. A is supposed to be given his introduction. So if he starts explaining that I'm a human being, I have 2 eyes, and then I have 1 nose, so they are a correct characteristics. Whatever he is saying is not wrong. Can anybody deny that whatever he is saying is wrong? No, we cannot. But at the same time, is this the answer that is expected out of him? No, because I am asking a particular question to a particular person. So in return, what do I expect? I expect a very specific answer. The details about that person, Mr. A. So he will have to talk about his name, he will have to talk about from where he belongs to, his qualification, very much specific details about himself, right? So same here. When we are talking about a particular topic, you cannot write a generalized answer, which you think is correct. Yes, it is correct, but it is so general in nature that it may be true for another 3-4 other topics also. So if you are going to mention the generalized point and it's true for other concepts also, then that means it's not a uniqueness of that particular thing. तो टेक्निकल वर्ड्स पे कुछ कॉम्प्रोमाइज नहीं चलेगा और स्टूडेंट्स को इसी वजह से मार्क्स लूज होते हैं बिकॉज दे प्रोवाइड अ वेरी जनरल आंसर और जब वो एग्जाम से बाहर निकलते हैं दे से दैट मैडम हमारा पेपर तो बहुत अच्छा हुआ है बिकॉज आई हैव अटेम्प्टेड ऑलमोस्ट 100 मार्क्स पेपर बट जब नंबर आते हैं दे आर गेटिंग से 30%, 35% एंड देन दे कीप ऑन स्लॉगिंग, कहाँ कट गए, क्यों कट गए, दे आर नॉट एबल टू आइडेंटिफाई दैट. तो हम आपको बता रहे हैं that because you have still one more month to go for your exam and mock test papers are about to get lined up, please technical answers लिखिए. So you have read so much about a particular topic. आपको उस topic पे 2 से 4 नंबर पे लिखना है तो take out the very important or the crux out of that and mention that only in your examination. और वो आपको clarity तभी मिलेगा when you will practice the questions in writing. Then only you will get that clarity. Right?
Here would I also mention one thing in your study material, we try to give example with each and every topic for your understanding. And one thing, it's very important. कभी ये मत सोचिएगा कि मैंने example लिख दिया तो मेरा answer explain हो गया. No, example is only for the support, but technical words, technical definition, you have to write. So coming to the chapter 2, which is a financial and accounting system that deals about integrated and non-integrated system. Talks about different business process model, their integration with financial and accounting system. Then in the last, we have the reporting system, management information system, and talking about what type of business intelligence are there and how we can use the data ethics over there. So in this chapter, this is done, the very first is enterprise resource planning, which is a common database system and having the modular software design based system that is used to retrieve the information and store the information in the real time. So in ERP, that is Enterprise Resource Planning System, we have benefits, risk aspect, corresponding controls, and the risk aspects are basis of the 4 bases. One is the people, process, technological, and post implementation. So for each and every you can say the risk aspect, we have the risk vis-a-vis control related to that. So the one girl who Akritya has, she has asked question, how can we present the question? So ma'am say bullet or present in the tabular form. So we are taking on the same point. Like point number 3, it says write specific answer with no compromise on the technical one. Remember that bar एक ही चीज ma'am and we are saying that never ever compromise on your technical work.
You can write the language of yours, but you will have to revolve your answer rotate your answer
Nearby
around
the
the technical keywords only. There cannot be any generalized answer. आपको number वहीं पे lose होते हैं.
So if we take the question, enterprise resource planning, that is ERP implementation, is a Herculean task which requires a lot of money, time and resources in terms of machine and human beings. Describe various technological risks and controls while implementing ERP. So here, if we understand the question very well, it says about the various technological risks and controls while implementing. So the very first thing is that we need to mention the risks related to the technological, right? Then it says the various. So it has a defined, so like 2 risks or 3 risks, but
answer is there on page.
Answer is there on page number 2.28 of your study. इस question का answer हम with the everything that ma'am has said. She said about the technical words, very right. Then she said about risk vis-a-vis control. So here we have the technological risk, we have this 4 aspects. We have software functionality, technological obsolescence, enhancement, and application portfolio. For each aspect, we have a risk associated with it. To overcome that risk, we have control. So you have to write, expectation is that you have to explain this answer with a tabular form, which explains your functionality, then says about the risk, then the control. It may not sort of happen that you said, okay, risk is written over there, then under the control. So how can I find out that whether this control represent the to be for the software functionality, this control belongs to the risk associated over here? I cannot. And moreover, when you are writing the answer in this way, so you can also make a table and you can also make a clarity. Okay, I have written the risk related to the software functionality, so I need to write control accordingly. I have missed over here, say the risk related to the technological obsolescence. So my risk and control related to this aspect is missing over here. So in such type of the answer, we expect to explain through the tabular form. So this is the best way to write your answer and give you clarity to you also. Yes, these are the aspects I have written, these are the risks and vis-a-vis control related to this. So, and in that case, presentation is good, all the points are there, and there is no need, you can say, chance that your marks can be loosened over here. The next question says, Mr. Amit is an auditor of a company XYZ Limited. While evaluating the controls over ERP system, he had to audit control which are under administered through the computer center, computer operation group, and the built-in operating system control. Which of the following controls are referred over here?
एक्टिव पार्टिसिपेशन करें मैम?
Yes.
करिए स्टूडेंट्स आप लोग इसको. I think you are already through with your study material. At least once you have already done. Just try reading the question again and again and try highlighting what are the important
Key
things that are mentioned here, based on which you will be able to zero down your answer. We'll give you another 10 seconds and then ma'am will discuss how do we find the answer. Again read, Mr. Amit एक auditor है, while evaluating controls क्या कर रहे हैं वो? He had to audit the controls which were administered, right? Which were administered through the computer center, computer operations group and the built-in operating system controls. कौन से controls हो सकते हैं जिसके अंदर ये वाली activities perform होती हैं? So you will have to, sometimes we are very much sure about the answer, sometimes we find the answer with elimination. कि ठीक है ये 4 ऑप्शंस हैं, इन 3 के बारे में मुझे पक्का पता है that they are not going to fall under this, तो जो चौथी ऑप्शन बची वही आंसर है. कभी कभी सिलेक्शन विद एलिमिनेशन भी बहुत हेल्पफुल रहता है. If you are able to directly point the answer, good enough. Okay, but we haven't received any answers as of now. Okay. Akriti is saying B, Anita is saying B, and Anmol is also saying application control. Now, ma'am will tell you what is the answer.
So as the ma'am rightly said that whenever you have such kind of a question, there is one way that I've tried to prepare a table over here. So which are explaining all the 4 controls over here mentioned in the question and with the definition, or you can say the main point over here. So it says environmental control that are administered through the computer center, computer operation group, whereas application control defines the scope of individual business process and application system. Management controls, they deal with the organization policies, procedure and planning. Whereas audit control, it is a tricky word, it's basically audit trail control. So answer is very much in your book on the page number 2.34.
But I think most of them have an understanding of answer B. So I think we will have to emphasize a little here. Yeah.
I mentioned over here on your page number 2.34 of the study. So when you see it over here, so they said the controls are of 2, general and application control. Right? Under the general control, we have the 2 types of control, management and the environmental control. And management controls only deals with the organization policies, procedure and planning. Whereas environmental controls, these are the basically operational control. They are administered through the computer center, the computer operation group.
देखो environmental controls कौन से controls होते हैं? Environmental controls, as the name suggests, we try to make the workplace in the best possible way. ठीक है? अब मेरे पास एक server room है. Suppose I have a server room. So to get or to work, application controls are the software based controls. They are there when you have to provide, say, a password. So it is an input control. It's a boundary control which inhibits any unauthorized person to enter into your account, right? But Why this belongs to the environmental control? Because this is the control which is administered at the center level. So the computer center that we have, so certain controls that we are going to implement around that or in that computer center, in terms of, say, we will have to say CCTV, we have to have the proper provisions of water leakage, we have to have the fire extinguishers, we have to have UPS installed. So these are the controls which are very much required for the proper administration of a computer center. So they will belong under the category of environmental controls. Had it been a question, मैम, अगर यहाँ पर एप्लीकेशन कंट्रोल कहाँ पे फिट होता? अगर हम सपोज ऊपर चलें, if we can just scroll above. Supposedly आपके पास यहाँ पे क्वेश्चन that he had to audit the controls whether the password policy has been implemented by the computer center or not. Then in that case, where does the password policy belong to? Does it belong to the environmental control? क्या उसका environment से कुछ लेना देना? नहीं. The password policy is very much required for the logical access of the computer. जो कंप्यूटर सेंटर पे जो सर्वर्स रखे हैं, till the time I am not an authorized user, I do not know the password, and if I do not know the password, I will not be able to log in into the system. तो अगर यहाँ पे password की बात आ जाती, there the answer would have been the application control. So I suppose
I guess they have missed this word.
Yes, this is very, and this is the computer center. The administration is done at the computer central level itself. So it will be, no management is going to get involved into it. No audit controls are there. No application controls are there. So the controls that are going to get implemented at the level of computer operations center will have to be the environmental control, right? But nevertheless, you all are a very wonderful audience. We must say you have been actively participating, and we are trying our best to, so that you get some takeaways from today's session, right?
So the next is business process module. So there are total 11 modules, right? Which all belong to the ERP, financial, controlling, sales and distribution, human resource, production planning, material management, quality management, plant maintenance, project system, supply chain, and customer relationship management, right? So if I know about each and every module, so this I have taken from your capsule only. Why I'm mentioning over here? Because it gives you the idea, a brief about what each module do and what is the main crux of that module. Like if I say about the financial accounting module, it talks about flow of financial data across the organization that deals with the tax configuration, asset accounting, and general ledger accounting. The second is controlling module. Controlling module is basically to coordinate and monitor all the modules over here, right? The third module is sales and distribution. So it talks about sales and distribution activities, services, starting from inquiry to order. So when I read on this slide, so I come to know about all the process, say pre-sale activities, billing, invoice, delivery to the customer. So all activities are mentioned over here. The next is human resource that deals with the work process and data management within HR, that is human resource department over here. In the same way, we have all the modules over here. Say production planning that talks about the master data, system configuration, and transaction accomplished plan, right? So this I'm telling you that I've taken this diagram from the capsule. So it helps you out to know about what each module belongs to, what are the main crux of that, what are the process involved into that. So it can question may come that you need to explain, say, the quality management module, write a short note on the material management module, what are the process or the steps involved in the plant maintenance module. So you need to know about each module, the main activity involved over here, and then you can write on the question. And the same way it can come in the form of the MCQ. So here we take an MCQ. So this is a module we have done. Okay. Identify the false statement from the following statements on the various module of ERP. So this question says explanation about each and every module. You need to find out what is the wrong or the false statement over it. The very first says the controlling module that evaluates the profit or the loss of individual. Second, sales and distribution module includes the product inquiries, placing the orders, and scheduling activities. Third is plant maintenance module involves the process of planning and the production activities. Fourth one, it says human resource modules deal with the financial entries like advances or loans to employee. Right? So can we have answer for this question? Read out each and every statement and find out which is false, which doesn't belong to that explanation of particular module.
Financial module. That's not the option.
Option over here.
Akriti is saying B. Krishna is suggesting A. And financial module. It's not an option at all.
Harish, financial module is not here. It talks about 4 modules. One is a controlling, second is sales and distribution, then plant maintenance and the human resource, right? So the right answer
People
is
are vouching for A, Harish and Ajay, and Miss Anmol is telling D. Ma'am, आप करो.
okay.
खुला सा.
अब हम इसको इस डायग्राम से देखते हैं. सबसे पहला है हमारे पास कंट्रोलिंग मॉड्यूल. Controlling module, as a name indicates, it is to coordinate and monitor all the and optimize all the process. So this is a definition of controlling module, right? Then second talks about sales and distribution. Sales and distribution is about the product inquiries, placing and orders. अभी मैंने बताया भी आपको कि this includes all the activities over here. Sales activities of the products, starting from the inquiry and order, right? Then the third one is plant maintenance. It says the process of planning the production activity. Right? And the fourth one is human resource. These are the financial entries like the advances of the loans. So plant maintenance is the maintaining of the equipment, efficient planning of the production and journals. So it is a right definition over here. And the human resource talks about data management of within HR. HR obviously belongs to the employees. So how much loan they have taken from the company, how much is paid over there. So it is also given over here. The financial entries belonging to the employees. If it is written over there, financial entries or advances or the losses, right? Only of the company, then it would be the right answer. But right now it says that controlling module evaluate the profit or the loss of the individual. Whereas in the definition, we are seeing that it is only to coordinate, monitor and optimize all the processes over here. So I guess Akriti Agarwal, she has given the right answer. The answer is A, that is
Mr. Krishna. Krishna, Harish, and Mr. Ajay. They all have given the correct answer. Akriti, I hope now you've understood why the answer B is not correct.
So controlling module is not to evaluate the profit or loss, whereas it is only to monitor, coordinate all the activities involved in the various activities within the organization. So the same question here, one more question. So I would like to answer this question from your side. It's just a tricky question. We have to understand. Because same type of question. Now understand the question. JKM Private Limited is an Apple manufacturing company well equipped with the ERP. So MM Group approached JKM Private Limited with the requisition of 1,000 pieces of female black farmer suits. Mr. Y, who is a senior manager of JKM Private Limited, wants to evaluate the current stock position and purchase order pending position of his company before accepting the requisition. Which of the following module of ERP will help Mr. Y in this? So, what this question says? Question says a company is there, JKM, which is a apple manufacturing company. Another company, Group, approached the company, putting a requisition of 1,000 pieces of formal black suits. Now, Mr. Y, who is the manager of the main company, that is JKM Manufacturing Company, which is a JKM Private Limited, he want to evaluate the current stock position, purchase order funding, and company before accepting the requisition. So, which of the following module will help Mr. Y in this? So, these are the main key points which Mr. Y is looking for. So, according to that, you have to find out the answer.
Harish already given the answer. Kushi has given D. Harish is saying A. Some more inputs, then we'll finalize the answer. Another 10 seconds to go. Okay. Mr. Chitla is saying B. Sales and distribution, there seems to be a tug of war between sales and distribution material management module. Just read the question again, because see, you need to be very, very thorough when you are getting the answers for MCQs, and you need to reread 2-3 times, give a proper reading before, because the options would be so close that to eliminate a particular option, you have to have a thorough understanding. तो आप क्वेश्चन को 3-4 बार पढ़ें, because here if you attempt correctly, you get full on full. There is no subjectivity issue. Answer sahi hai ya galat hai, either this way or that way. And then the best part is that do not have to give any reasoning why your answer is this, and then you don't have any negative marking here also. So you have to take the maximum benefit आउट ऑफ दिस पेपर पैटर्न. ये पेपर पैटर्न बनाया ही इस पर्पज से गया है कि आपको अंडरस्टैंडिंग होना चाहिए, बट एट द सेम टाइम बिकॉज इट्स टफ फॉर स्टूडेंट्स टू रिप्रोड्यूस द डिस्क्रिप्टिव आंसर्स, तो आपको लेकिन अंडरस्टैंडिंग होना चाहिए. नाउ इट इज टेस्टिंग योर एनालिसिस एंड एप्लीकेशन स्किल सेट. आप एनालाइज करें क्या मांगा है और फिर आप अप्लाई करें उस पर्टिकुलर स्किल को और आंसर को बताएं. ओके, लॉट मेनी ऑप्शंस आर वाचिंग फॉर मैडम ए. पलापर्ति, अनमोल, Mr. Mondal, they are all saying for A. So and B also again coming. Khushi, Krishna, and Anmol. B.
So, by mistake that come. The answer is B. How come? All the modules are present in the page 2.42 of your study material, right? Again, we take the help of this diagram, as I told you that we have taken over there.
आप अपने भी डायग्राम्स बना सकते हो ऐसे. आपके जो नोट्स बनेंगे वहां पे आप मेजर टेक अवे लिख लीजिए कि इसमें क्या मेजर चीज है. सो व्हेन यू विल बी, इट्स नॉट वी आर शोइंग इट विद द हेल्प ऑफ एन, आप अपने बनाइए ना. सो दोज आर गोइंग टू बी योर नोट्स, वही आपको हेल्प करेंगे इन आंसर्स को सॉल्व करने में.
So Kushi, Krishna, and Mol. So you got any other e-chocolate over here? The answer is material management. So how it comes? Read the question again. What it says: Mr. Y, who is a senior manager of the manufacturing company, want to evaluate the current stock position and purchase order of the pending position of this company before accepting the requisition. So what he is doing before he accepts the requisition, he want to know about the stock position, purchase order, and the pending position. Then only he would able to accept the order placed by Group. So if I talk about
तो अभी तो इधर मटेरियल ही मैनेज हो रहा है.
management,
अभी सेल्स पे तो बात ही नहीं आई. सेल्स कम व्हेन द मटेरियल इज रेडी टू बी सोल्ड. सो इट्स नॉट येट रेडी, इट्स स्टिल अंडर प्रोडक्शन, लेकिन उसमें भी नॉट द प्रोडक्ट प्रोडक्शन, इट इज द
managing the material required, process and producing the item.
वेरी ट्रिकी क्वेश्चन, और आपकी बिल्कुल थॉरो अंडरस्टैंडिंग को चेक करना है.
क्योंकि इसमें क्या है, देखिए अब मोस्ट ऑफ यू हैव सेड आंसर ए, सेल्स एंड डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन. सेल्स एंड डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन से प्री सेल्स एक्टिविटी, देन ऑर्डर प्लेस. अभी तो ऑर्डर एक्सेप्ट करने के लिए कर, एज मैम राइटली सेड दैट whenever you are having this question, you have to read the question twice and thrice, right? So if we talk about So read this line. Before accepting the requisition, he want to check. So right now he has not accepted the requisition. Before he requests, then only he can place the order over here. So for this kind of a question, you need to read the question again and again. Then only you can come to the conclusion. Okay, what would be the answer? What would be the answer of my question? Right? मैम डी भी हो सकता है अगर यहाँ पर वो चेक करता है कि ऑर्डर किसी ऑर्डर के लिए नो इट कैन नॉट बी डी व्हाई because Krishna rightly if you say over here module D talks about the supply chain management. So when I talk about the supply chain management, it extensive functionality for the logistic, manufacturing, and planning and analytics. So if he is not yet planning for that, he's just looking for the material. Whether the material is there in my company, I can go for further requisition or not. I can accept the order or no. How to identify the keyword in the concept to write the answer. Okay.
ये तो थॉरो रीडिंग से ही आएगा आपको। जब आप पढ़ रहे हो, जैसे मैं एक ही चीज बार बार अगर पढ़ूंगी, मुझे वही चीज दिमाग में आएगी और वही चीज जब मेरे दिमाग में बैठेगी तो वही टेक्निकल है। आपने जब डिफरेंस समझ लिया, व्हेन यू हैव अंडरस्टूड अ पर्टिकुलर कॉन्सेप्ट, आपने समझने के लिए कुछ चीजें माइंड में बिठाई ना, you have just zeroed down on certain technical things that are there or that make it different from other topics, right? तो अब जैसे कंप्यूटिंग टेक्नोलॉजीज की हम बात करेंगे चैप्टर 4 में, so there you will see if you are talking about mobile computing, grid computing, cloud computing, they are all computing technologies. तो मैडम सबसे पहले एक स्टेटमेंट आता है मोबाइल कंप्यूटिंग में,
Is important.
it's one of the most important emerging technology. अभी इसमें how does it differentiate this statement? This is applicable for all the computing technologies, right? One of the most important, because if it's emerging, that means it's important. जो obsolete चीज है वो हटती जा रही है, नई चीज आती जा रही है, because it has its relevance in the society now. तो वो तो important हो ही गई, but उसके अंदर ऐसी क्या यूनिकनेस है जो उसको important बनाती है, वो अगर नहीं मेंशन हुआ तो वो नहीं कुछ नंबर मिलेंगे। और ये आपको तभी आएंगे जब आप पढ़ोगे। तो अभी तैयारी, suppose your preparation level is at this level, right? You will have to take it to this. And how will you take it? You will have to keep these small things in your mind. जब रिवीजन करो तो ये सोच के देखो कि अगर ये क्वेश्चन 2 नंबर की जाएगा तो मैं इसमें क्या लिखने वाली हूँ। इफ द क्वेश्चन इज ऑफ से 1 मार्क, देन व्हाट, उस क्योंकि जितना कम नंबर का क्वेश्चन होता है ना मैम, tougher it is. Because if it's a 6 marks question, I have lot of scope to write anything and everything. उसमें फिर आपकी इस तरीके की statements भी चल जाती हैं. It is a very important technology. But if the question is of say 2 marks, write a short note. Short note में आप general चीजें नहीं लिखोगे. You will not be able to fetch marks from that answer. ठीक है?
अब देखो जैसे मैम ने भी आपको कहा कि आप अपनी डायग्राम बनाओ, बार बार राइटिंग करो. फॉर एग्जाम्पल इफ आई टेक दिस डायग्राम, सो there are all the 11 modules are presented over here with all the keywords, right? So if I say the sales and distribution, it says support sales and distribution activities, that means pre-sale activities, then services, starting from inquiry to order, billing, and then delivery. So all the steps over here, say pre-sales activity, placing the order, getting the order, and then invoice, then billing and delivery. So all the activities are involved over there. So when you are writing over here, when you are preparing over there, so apart from that, you write over here, okay, process involved into that. So process number 1, the pre-sales activity. Process number 2, placing an order. Process number 3, invoicing. Process number 4, billing. Process number 5, dispatch. So all the process would be there. So in that case, you have all the process with you. You need to learn down your activity in that. What are the steps involved in that? So you start writing on it again and again. Then only you can find out, okay, what are the main important points over here. As ma'am rightly said, this we have prepared. You can make your own. You can write more into that and by explaining all the points over here.
मैम आकृति पूछ रही है, आकृति यू हैव बीन शूटिंग द सेम क्वेरी कि ICAR never gives full marks, so what is the way to get the full marks? देखो, whatever we are discussing here, we are not talking much technical. Whichever questions we have posed, we have we are trying our best to make you understand कि क्यों ये आंसर है और क्यों दूसरे आंसर्स नहीं है. बट देर इज नो बडी एज सच ICI कोई एक इंसान नहीं है. ICI इज इट्स एन ऑर्गेनाइजेशन विच इज वर्किंग फॉर स्टूडेंट्स. बोर्ड ऑफ स्टडीज के सारे इनिशिएटिव जो होते हैं दे आर देयर फॉर द स्टूडेंट्स. वी वांट यू टू बी वेल प्रिपेयर्ड एंड रादर whole of the session that we are holding for the students, it is for your success. So whatever tips and tricks that your teachers are giving to you through these lectures are for your benefit. If you will implement those, you will get maximum marks. There is no second doubt about it. But what we are saying is that you have to have the conceptual understanding. अगर आप रट के जाओगे आपको एग्जाम में नहीं याद आएगा. You will simply try patching up in that answer. आप कुछ भी लिखेंगे and then to you will feel that I attempted 100 marks paper. लेकिन उसमें जब आपके 30% 40% मार्क्स आते हैं there is a huge gap. अगर आपने 70% एक्सपेक्ट किए थे and if you are getting say 65% still okay because that plus minus 5% subjectivity is always there. It's there and it's not only in the CA course. It's been there throughout your education system. आप क्लास फर्स्ट से पढ़ते आ रहे हैं. ऑनलाइन टेस्ट में क्यों नंबर ज्यादा आते हैं और थ्योरी पेपर में क्यों नंबर कम आते हैं? दिस इटसेल्फ सेज अभी कोविड में व्हेन ऑल द एग्जाम्स वर गेटिंग कंडक्टेड इन द MCQ पैटर्न एवरीबॉडी वाज गेटिंग 100 on 100 99 on 100. वही क्वेश्चन इफ इट्स बीइंग पोज्ड एज अ डिस्क्रिप्टिव क्वेश्चन स्टूडेंट्स simply land up with say 65-70%. So the thing is not that there is any foolproof system that we will say, but your preparation should be to an extent and should be in such a manner that you are able to cater to the requirement of the question. तो वो क्वेश्चन की रिक्वायरमेंट देखो, उस पर्टिकुलर क्वेश्चन में कितने मार्क्स अलॉटेड है उसके हिसाब से आंसर लिखो और टू द पॉइंट आंसर लिखो. दैट्स इट. आई थिंक दीज आर द थ्री मंत्रास. इस सब में सब कुछ कवर हो जाता है. ठीक है.
So at end of each chapter there is a test your skills. You try to write the answer and then check yourself. But critical check. ये नहीं कि मैंने लिखा है तो ठीक है इसमें आधा नंबर हम फालतू दे सकते हैं, ये तो लिखा है, ये नहीं. Whether all the concepts are there, where all the words which are we are बार-बार जिसको हम technical words कह रहे हैं, whether that is included in your answer or not, then you find out how much marks I get. So that shows the level of your preparation. And if you think that okay you have done everything right and you are getting 100% marks in that, then I say I will also give the 100% marks in that.
See, और बोर्ड ऑफ स्टडीज का तो पूरा इनिशिएटिव ही यही है कि आपको कैसे अच्छे से अच्छा प्रिपेयर करके एग्जाम में भेजा जाए, है ना. सो नाउ सम पर्सन हैज आस्क्ड मी कि PDF मैडम मिल जाएगा इसका. यस, PDF विल बी, वी कैन अपलोड द PDF, but yes, at the same time whatever diagrams that we have here, we would request that you go to the BoS knowledge portal and you go to the capsule mein you will get to have all the summary of all the chapters and they are beautifully represented using different charts, using different smart art, using different boxes and tables, and they are so beautified that you will love reading from there. But that comes only in the last when you are through with your study entirely, and it is only for the quick recapitulation, so you can just give 1 hour to those capsules and just revise your whole points. उसी में से आपके 2-3 MCQs तो वहीं से derive हो जाएंगे hopefully.
And remember that is only the summary.
Yeah, that's a summary. Yeah. It doesn't. That is mainly for the summary part only. It doesn't replace your
descriptive
study. Yeah. That's there cannot be any compromise on that part at all. You have to have that clarity. Okay, now we can move up. Okay, third chapter. There is a query. Student should be say. Okay, Akriti, I think I have answered your question. PDF, it will get uploaded, and then Mr. Mondal. Thank you, Mondal, because you are here giving us the positive vibes that people. You do acknowledge that BoS is working for its students. Rather, ICI is working for its students and members. And thank you. So we will move forward because we want all the 5 chapters to be covered, and then we'll need to rush up. So now we will go for the chapter 3. Now the chapter 3, information systems and its concepts. So again, there is a diagram. Now you will see we prepared this based on the topics that are there. Okay. So information systems is the broad heading under which we discussed about its components, then we discussed about its controls and then the functions. And then they are further subcategorized as people, computer, hardware, components में ये चीजें आ गई. Control classification, we have 3 ways of classifying the controls based on the objectives of the controls, nature of IS resources and management control. नेचर ऑफ हायर रिसोर्सेज अगेन आर से इन्वायरमेंटल फिजिकल. सो अभी इसको बनाने का पर्पज ये है दैट इफ यू वांट टू एंश्योर दैट योर चैप्टर्स आर डन, हाउ विल यू डू इट? यू विल सिंपली एम्फसाइज ऑन कॉम्पोनेंट्स. क्या कॉम्पोनेंट्स में मैंने ये 3 चीजें कर ली? इफ इट्स डन, टिक टिक टिक, डन. देन वी विल गो फॉर द कंट्रोल्स क्लासिफिकेशन. कंट्रोल्स क्लासिफिकेशन जिन बेसिस पर है, आई विल सी टू इट. ऑब्जेक्टिव्स प्रिवेंटिव हो गए, डिटेक्टिव हो गए. एंड देन अभी एग्जाम में सपोज अ क्वेश्चन कम्स फॉर से क्लासिफिकेशन ऑफ कंट्रोल्स, सो यू विल हैव टू राइट द entire thing, all these things, but then obviously the marks allotted to each of these will get lowered. But supposedly the question comes specifically for say differentiate between preventive and detective, then the value the marks allotted to preventive and detective will get increased. Suppose it becomes a question of 4 marks, so you will have to explain the preventive and detective controls vis-a-vis 2 marks each. Understood? So you will have to see requirement क्या है question की, उसके हिसाब से how much depth I need to go in for a particular topic will be decided. ठीक है? So again we will see, like here, controls and their audit, we have classified objective, nature of IS resources. Now these are the diagrams which are not there in the study material, but they are here just to make you understand that you can make your own diagrams like this. और आप टिक लगाते चलोगे, इट विल बूस्ट योर कॉन्फिडेंस लाइक एनीथिंग, बिकॉज हियर यू विल बी सीइंग ये आज मैंने कर लिया, सो दिस इज व्हाट वेयर आई एम नाउ एंड हाउ मच डू आई नीड टू स्ट्रेच बिकॉज आई हैव दीज मेनी टॉपिक्स टू कवर. So you will be able to manage your time when you draw these diagrams. It will give you an insight about how much is done, kitna bacha hai, and how much speed do I need to gear up for completion of this thing. Understood? Now, objective of controls, we have already talked about that. Classification of controls, they are based on objective of controls. You are all very, very thorough. We have, I'm pretty confident that you are very thorough because the audience that we have, they are technically sound and they are being able to respond to our MCQs. So we do have a feeling that.
So Harish, you have posed a question कि मैम मुझे keywords learn नहीं होते, मैं कैसे करूँ? And I told you कि मैम will explain in chapter number 3. So she has explained with this diagram that this is not in your study material, but she has prepared and she has shown you how you can go further with that. That like if controls come for the objective, 3 types of controls, how much I have learned, what controls under it, and then proceed to the next one.
अब आप इसी में फर्दर इसी वाले डायग्राम का आप ये देखिए फर्दर कैटेगराइजेशन है. That now if I have to talk about preventive controls क्या होते हैं, so I will talk about what are they are there to prevent errors, omissions और security incidents from occurring. एक बार मैंने लिखा, they will be there in my mind. Rather when we write in the examination ना, कभी कभी ये भी ध्यान आता है रजिस्टर में उस पेज पे राइट साइड पे this was the answer that I had mentioned. Or if you will simply underline these important points in your study material, you will be able to memorize because ऑफ एंड ऑन आप उसको रिवाइज करें. अच्छा, एक चीज इसमें यहाँ पे बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है मैम, वी हैव स्किप्ड दैट पॉइंट, इज दैट व्हेनेवर वी आर मूविंग टू अ फर्दर, पिछला थोड़ा थोड़ा रिवाइज करना है. सपोज आई स्टडी एवरी डे फॉर 2 hours. इस सब्जेक्ट को डेली आपको कंटिन्यूस बेसिस पे टच में रखना है. इट कैन नॉट बी दैट ओके फॉर 10 days आई विल स्टडी रिगरसली EIS, दिन रात सुबह शाम EIS पढ़ा, 10 दिन में EIS फिनिश कर दिया, एंड नाउ I will be a total blank before my examination as if I have never studied this subject. So this is a subject which you need to keep in continuous basis and never ever try reading this subject when you are very, very tired. But at the same time, try maintaining a balance between a practical question, practical paper and theory paper. It's a technical paper, but you have to write the answers as a theory form. So we'll have to write in practice in writing. At the same time, whenever you are going for the next topic or next chapter, just revise the previous topics for initial 10-15 minutes. उसमें क्या होगा, if you have written a particular answer, suppose you get stuck up, then you see the book, you see, okay, these are the points that I remember, but these are the points I have skipped. So you just mention them with different pen ink, okay, different ink pen, right? And then when you will be going for the further studies next day, just look on for those miss points in the previous reading. So this way what will happen, you are filling on the gaps that are there, and at the same time you are moving ahead. So you don't keep on just revising the things that you are fully confident about. एक ही चीज को जो कि बार बार आपको आती है, आप उसी को रिवाइज करके खुश होते रहो, ओके आई एम थ्रू विद दिस, थ्रू विद दैट, बट देन उसमें 3 या 4 नंबर से ऊपर के नंबर तो मिल नहीं जाएंगे ना. सो व्हाट अबाउट द रिमेनिंग गैप दैट यू हैव?
Like as Mary said, there are 3 types of the objective. On the basis of objective, on the basis of the nature of resources, and IS function. Say if today you have learned about the controls based on the objective. Tomorrow you are going to learn about the controls based on the nature of IS resources. Before you move on these points, you have to revise the previous one.
Understood? So you keep on moving ahead, you keep on hopping, पिछला भी थोड़ा थोड़ा रिवाइज करते जाओ. So this way you will see that you are gripping on the subject and try filling the gaps. तो रिवीजन में वो टॉपिक्स रखो जहाँ पे गैप है. बार बार अच्छी अच्छी चीजें रिवाइज करके खुश होने से व्हाट विल हैपन, जो हमारा वीक एरिया वो वीक ही बना रह जाएगा. ठीक है. अब जैसे यहाँ पर हम मेनली व्हाट वी आर ट्राइंग टू से, सपोज there will be certain questions where they will talk about say intrusion prevention schemes या password policies की बात होगी, firewalls की होगी, तो you will have to know that under which category these controls fall. So here in this particular case the examples are very important. You have to be very very thorough about the examples because MCQs जो आएंगे आपके वो मेनली इन एग्जाम्पल्स के बेस पे ही आपकी टेस्टिंग करेंगे. ठीक है, कि how well you have understood these topics. So this is again, and they are all there in the capsule. You can always refer to the capsule part also. Technically we are not going much in detail, but if you have any technical queries that we can always discuss, you can send us the mail. We will share our email ID with you. We will discuss all that, but here we are mainly on the point of view how you should approach or present your answers during the examination. Okay, so these are the physical access. Again, if somebody is saying that a CCTV is installed outside a computer center, what kind of a control will it be? So you will say it is a physical access control. But now suppose the option there is not there, physical access control, and the options there are say preventive control, corrective control, detective control. तो CCTV क्या काम करेगा? It is a detective control. So the controls are there, but they are dual in nature. हर टाइप के में क्वालिफाई कर सकते हैं. CCTV is a physical access control. At the same time, CCTV under the objectives of control fall under the category of detective control. ठीक है. So depending on the choices that you are having in your MCQ, you will have to get the answer. So again, the logical access controls, again here we have certain what we say examples.
So the next is information system function control. So that talks about the managerial control, talks about the development, implementation, operation and maintenance of the information system. And the second is the application control, which involves boundary, input, communication, processing and database control, which is basically to check the accuracy, validity of the data during the input, update and the storage of the data. So here we have given certain examples with the key points over here. That's the output controls like media identification, movement of the library management, data backup, recovery, authentication, legal and regulatory requirement. So the next point says about make your own flowchart in each and every topic to ensure the completion of the entire thing. As ma'am rightly said that this, even if you are getting the PDF of this, but don't only stick to that because we have highlighted the point. Like for the objective, if I say that preventive, detective and corrective control, but what controls fall under it? So you have to make your own flowchart and write the points under it. Okay, this point I have done. This is this comes under the detective control. This control comes under the corrective control. Then only So always emphasize on making your own flowchart. Don't go by the subject only or the study material. Okay, this flowchart or the, because in the study material, in the beginning of every chapter, you have the flow of the chapter, how it is go, right? But for your study, for your revision, because you are the one who will get the marks, you have to make your own flowchart.
Now, we will discuss a question. Mr. Y used duplicate keys to enter in a prohibited area zone of JKH Limited Company, right? And stole some important documents of the company. चोरी कर ली उन्होंने. Which of the following control you think has been compromised to make such an incident happen? Now again, we would like all of you to respond to this question and we will see what shall be the answer. Prohibited area zone था and an intruder used duplicate keys to enter into that zone and stole certain documents. तो आपके हिसाब से क्या आंसर होना चाहिए? Is it the environmental control, something related to the environment? Is it the physical control, physically कुछ access में problem आया, कोई control यहाँ पर violate हुआ? Network access control, when we are sending certain information from one network to another, क्या यहाँ पर कुछ issue आ गया? और the logical access कि मैंने कुछ system में logical entry कर ली और मैंने data को steal किया.
We got the answer.
So we are getting the answers. Okay, Mr. Mondal, he is saying
physical access.
B, physical access. Okay, very nice. Akriti is saying B. Khushi Maheshwari, most of them are suggesting me the answer B. And we are very happy because the answer is actually there in your page number 3.26 and it suggests that it's going to be the physical access. क्योंकि फिजिकली कुछ कंट्रोल का वायलेशन हो गया. द पर्सन गॉट द एक्सेस ऑफ द डुप्लीकेट कीज, तो जो कंट्रोल रहे, जो वहां पर डोर्स पे जो लॉक रहा, उसकी डुप्लीकेट कीज बन गई और उसकी यूज से देयर इज द वायलेशन ऑफ द सिक्योरिटी ऑफ द इंफॉर्मेशन. सो वेरी वेल, ईच वन ऑफ यू, वेल डन, राइट? So this is how I think now you will be having certain confidence in you that yes we can do and there is ये पढ़ने के दौरान ही आपकी तैयारी हो रही है. ऐसा नहीं है कि इन सब चीजों को आपको अलग से तैयार करना है. जस्ट विद लिटिल मोर केयरफुलनेस, थोड़ा सा आपको और केयरफुल रहना रहेगा दैट ओके व्हेन आई एम डूइंग इट मेरे को ये एस्पेक्ट भी साथ साथ कवर करते चले जाना, सो दैट आई एम प्रिपेयर्ड इन द बेस्ट ऑफ माई कैपेसिटी. Now again the fifth point that we would like to mention is that thorough understanding. ये तो आपको शुरू से बोल ही रहे हम लोग. Thorough understanding of each topic is essential to answer MCQs appropriately because the choices would be so close, confusion होना ही है. तो जब तक आपको clarity नहीं है topics के, आप नहीं कर पाओगे.
Chapter number 2 में we have seen that.
We have seen that. In that case थोड़ा सा issue आ गया क्योंकि ऑप्शन वहां पर है. सी सिलेक्शन विद एलिमिनेशन इज पॉसिबल व्हेन आई एम वेरी श्योर अबाउट द 3 ऑप्शंस कि इनमें तो ये चीज बिलोंग नहीं करती, देन आई एम गोइंग टू बी श्योर अबाउट द एग्जैक्ट आंसर. लेकिन अगर मुझे 2 ही पता है और 2 में मेरे को अभी भी एम्बिग्यूटी है, आई एम श्योर अबाउट दीज 2. जैसे होता है ना कौन बनेगा करोड़पति, फ्लिप, वो तो ऑप्शन है नहीं आपके पास, या फिर 50-50. सो यू हैव टू हैव थॉरो अंडरस्टैंडिंग, उसके अलावा ऑप्शन नहीं है कोई. ठीक है.
And you have to read the question twice and thrice.
हाँ, अपना give MCQ portion a respectable time. आप उसको 15-20 मिनट आराम से करिए because these 15-20 minutes are going to be so crucial. You are going to get 15 on 15. तो बाकी आपका 35 marks का पेपर बचा. And then how well you have prepared. And in that also किस क्वेश्चन में आप comfortable हो, try attempting those questions first. Then followed by the questions where you are not comfortable. Now the second question, Great India Grameen Cooperative Society Bank Limited implemented a new and strict policy, password policy है. They implemented one where users have to keep minimum 8 characters alphanumeric login password and that password must be reset after 30 days to get access in the banking system. यानी कि बहुत strong password policy को वो emphasize करते हैं. As per classification of IS controls, which type of control is this? Okay, now my audience, we would love to have the answer. Okay, answer has already been received. Mr. Mondal is saying preventive control. We don't know, we have got certain options, but whether it was Anita says A, preventive control. We've got certain options.
These are
but
previous
I'm not, Acha, these are for the previous one. So okay, some more answers to come up. Preventive control, very good. Answers are still coming. Very nice, very nice. Most of you are, yes, everybody here. Mr. Harish, Ajay, Khushi, Anita, Nilabjo, and Akriti, very nice. And Mr. Naresh Kumar also, they all have given the answer. So I don't think I need any I need to provide you any clarity on this particular thing. It's going to be the answer, preventive, because this is the password policy that would prevent a hacker to enter into anybody's login. So only the authorized users can be entering into the system, right? Now, this is one framework which provides you, it's there in your study. You can always have a look at it. It is providing you a complete overview of the management control framework. Now, these are from the information system functions perspective, that the controls that are there, they can be at the managerial level or they are at the application level. तो हर वो कंट्रोल जो एप्लीकेशन लेवल के बियॉन्ड है बिकम्स अ मैनेजरियल लेवल, दैट मीन्स इट बिकम्स अ पॉलिसी डिसीजन. वो एक डिसीजन मैनेजमेंट लेवल पे लिए जाते हैं कि कैसे क्या होना चाहिए. सिस्टम डेवलपमेंट कंट्रोल्स भी जो लगेंगे, they are also going to be considered during the management control. So system development controls define करेंगे what controls are going to be there, and application controls are the real execution of those controls which would inhibit any unauthorized user to enter into the application. अब एप्लीकेशन में जैसे हम कभी कभी देखते हैं कि प्रिंट लेने का ऑप्शन है बट यू आर नॉट एबल टू एडिट. सो व्हाट आर दीज आर ऑल द कंट्रोल्स दैट आर गिवन. आउटपुट आ रही है, you can have a look at it, but you cannot take a print of it, you cannot modify it. So these are the controls and checks which prevent our system. Okay, application को prevent करते हैं. So this is one diagram which is giving you the complete detail about all the management control frameworks, and rather suppose they are of say top management, system development, programming management, and further there are subcategories also. So this diagram is very, very important again for the quick recapitulation, and it's a part of your study material. So you don't need to make the diagram again, but yes, as and when you are through with any particular control, आपने tick लगाया, आगे बढ़े, and that will provide you a complete insight whether you are through with all these topics or not. अब questions can be framed as per MCQs, और इनमें से किसी एक पर्टिकुलर लाइक क्वालिटी एश्योरेंस मैनेजमेंट कंट्रोल्स के बारे में आपको लिए शॉर्ट नोट आ सकता है, और उसमें से कि डिस्कस क्वालिटी मैनेजमेंट एश्योरेंस कंट्रोल्स, तो उसके अंदर जो फर्दर सब कैटेगरीज हैं आपको वो डिस्कस करनी रहेंगी. सो यू हैव टू प्रिपेयर फ्रॉम बोथ द एंगल्स. बट सपोज द क्वेश्चन इज ऑफ 4 मार्क्स और आपने इसके अंदर के मान लीजिए 4 कंट्रोल्स डिस्कस करे हैं. सो ईच क्वेश्चन कितने नंबर का एक्सप्लेन करना रहेगा? 1 मार्क फॉर 1 मार्क. ठीक है, तो अंडरस्टैंडिंग के लिए सारी रीडिंग करनी है, लेकिन एग्जाम के पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से आपको उसमें से ट्रक्स निकाल लो, उसका क्या उसको यूनिक बनाता है, और वही आपको एग्जाम में मेंशन करना है. ठीक है, तो अब आपके हिसाब से मान लीजिए यू हैव सीन दैट सपोज क्वालिटी एश्योरेंस मैनेजमेंट कंट्रोल इज रनिंग इन से 2.5 पेजेस इन द स्टडी मटेरियल. 2.5 मुझे याद नहीं करने ना, तो मुझे समझ में आने चाहिए. आई हैव टू बिल्ड अ प्रॉपर अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऑफ दीज, बट एट द सेम टाइम व्हेन आई एम सपोज टू राइट इट एज अ डिस्क्रिप्टिव क्वेश्चन, हर कंट्रोल मुझे 1 नंबर के अगेंस्ट लिखना है या मैक्सिमम 2 नंबर के अगेंस्ट लिखना है. ठीक है, सो यू हैव टू सी दैट इन माइंड व्हेन यू आर प्रिपेयरिंग. ऐसे अननेसेसरीली एक ही चीज को इतना ज्यादा लंबा, इस एक को तो आपने 2.5 पेज का याद कर लिया, दूसरे का आपको 2.5 लाइन्स है. सो दैट बैलेंसिंग यू नीड टू मेक ऑन योर ओन. हम आपको बता रहे हैं कि क्राइटेरिया क्या है. सी कि हर जो टॉपिक है वो आपका मैक्सिमम कितने मार्क्स का आता है. मैक्सिमम क्वेश्चन कम्स फॉर से 6 मार्क्स, तो उसके अकॉर्डिंग रेडी रखिए अपना आंसर, बहुत ज्यादा मत लिखिए.
And you may also get the short note.
शॉर्ट नोट फॉर 2 मार्क्स, तो वो तो और भी मुश्किल हो गया, क्योंकि आपने 4 नंबर का याद किया, अब इसमें से क्या मैं और शॉर्ट करके लिखूं. तो वहां पर आप लिखिएगा, लेकिन यूनिक चीजें जो उस चीज की कैरेक्टरिस्टिक है, जो उसकी ब्यूटी है उस पर्टिकुलर टॉपिक की, वही मेंशन करिए. And likewise for application control framework, again we have 6 controls here. और वो कंट्रोल्स के फर्दर सब कंट्रोल्स भी मेंशन है। तो अगर आपको एग्जाम में सपोज डेटाबेस कंट्रोल्स लिखने को आता है तो वी हैव एक्सेस कंट्रोल्स, इंटेग्रिटी कंट्रोल्स, एप्लीकेशन सॉफ्टवेयर कंट्रोल्स, कॉन्करेंसी कंट्रोल्स, क्रिप्टोग्राफिक कंट्रोल्स, फाइल हैंडलिंग एंड ऑडिटिंग। 6 नंबर का क्वेश्चन आ गया सपोज डेटाबेस कंट्रोल्स, सो यू विल हैव टू मेंशन एनी 6, ये 7 है सपोज, सो यू विल मेंशन एनी 6 कंट्रोल्स बट ईच कंट्रोल वीजा भी ओनली 1 मार्क। तो उस चीज की ये सारे कंट्रोल्स मिलके डेटाबेस कंट्रोल्स करेंगे क्या, वो इंटेग्रिटी ऑफ डेटाबेस। तो अगर आप एक्सेस कंट्रोल में भी ये लिख देते हो कि इट्स रिक्वायर्ड टू मेंटेन इंटेग्रिटी ऑफ डेटाबेस, एप्लीकेशन सॉफ्टवेयर कंट्रोल में भी ये लिखते हो, ये तो सब वर्किंग है, ये फर्दर सब सब कैटेगरीज ऑफ द कंट्रोल है। तो क्या कंट्रोल क्या कर रहा है उसको लिखना पड़ेगा, ये सब मिलके आपको डेटाबेस कंट्रोल्स की एश्योरेंस प्रोवाइड करता है। ठीक है, अभी हम जैसे डिस्कस कर रहे हैं शॉर्ट नोट ऑन पिन, पर्सनल आइडेंटिफिकेशन नंबर। पर्सनल आइडेंटिफिकेशन नंबर पे अब जैसे आपने देखा शॉर्ट नोट आया तो आपने इसके अंदर क्या लिखा कि ये क्या है, आपने उसके बारे में लिखने के बाद आपने उसके स्टेप्स लिख दिए आई तक। क्वेश्चन दूसरे ढंग से भी आ सकता है, सपोज इसी पे आपका एमसीक्यू आ गया एंड देयर यू हैव टू sequentially arrange all these I points from A to I. So it's not only that you need to know the points, you need to have the proper sequence also so that you can choose the correct answer. Same question posed in two different forms. अब अगर आपके मान लीजिए शॉर्ट नोट ऑन पिन आया है तो आपको कैसे मेंशन करना है, अगेन यू विल हैव टू मेंशन, यहाँ पर अब आपको पॉइंट्स लिखने देंगे, there the points are given, you have to arrange them in a sequence. Similarly, suppose certain another question short note on digital signatures, तो ये 2 नंबर का शॉर्ट नोट आया तो 2 नंबर में आपको 2 पेज नहीं लिखने हैं, यू विल ओनली बी राइटिंग अबाउट व्हाट डिजिटल सिग्नेचर्स इज, हाउ डज इट वर्क, जो भी इसके बारे में आपको मेंशन है स्टडी मटेरियल में, यू विल हैव टू हाईलाइट ऑन दोज पॉइंट्स। 4-5 पॉइंट्स दे रखे हैं, द एग्जामिनर इज लुकिंग फॉर द यूनिक सॉरी यूनिकनेस अबाउट दैट थिंग, वो उसको मिलते ही यू विल बी अवॉर्डेड द मार्क्स, राइट।
The next question is discuss various tools for the audit, IS audit. Now we know that, say again the question says various tools, right? So we have 4 types of the tools: snapshot, integrated test, system control and audit review, and continuous intermediate simulations, audit tool. So in each and every tool, you may get the question that write a short note on the snap note, right? Or you may have the question like with the mentioning of the keywords, identify which type of the audit tool is there. So in each and every, you can find out the audit tool, there are certain keywords mentioned over here. Like if we talk about the snapshot, it is basically to trace a transaction in a computer system and can be performed with the snapshot extended records. See, in the next say integrated test facilities, it involves the creation of a dummy entity and application system for processing and audit test data. So you have to have a thorough understanding of each and every type of audit tool, and then you can find out the question, because question can come in the MCQ as well as a descriptive. Like in this question, it says only various. So you may write any depending on the marks. If it's for the 4 marks, you can explain the 4. If it's for the 6 marks, you can explain any 6 of that. So we have a question based on it. The question is not there. The next is chapter number 4, e-commerce and m-commerce. So this chapter is basically divided in 2 parts. One is e-commerce and m-commerce, that deals about the traditional e-commerce and m-commerce, discussing about the component architecture, risk and controls, laws and guidelines, digital payments and e-marketing. And the second part divides it into the emerging technologies, which involves a various type of technology: virtualization, grid, cloud computing, green computing, BYOD, IoT, artificial intelligence, and blockchain. For each and every technologies, we have application, risk and controls related to that. So you have to have a thorough understanding of each and every topics over here in these technologies. So when we talk about The question comes over here. Mr. Raju wants to purchase a new laptop of BBCN company through online mode. Hence, he is checking all the products available on BBCN website. From the following layers of e-commerce architecture, identify the layer on which it is working. So this question is asking about to find out the layer on the e-commerce. So can we have the answer for this? So in e-commerce architecture, okay, E, okay. The answer is on your page number 4.28 that explains the various layers of the e-commerce architecture. The very first is it has the three layers: client and user interface, application and database layer. This layer is basically deals with the web server, web browser that helps the customer to connect with the e-commerce merchant, and application layers that allows the customer to log on the merchant system and to check the product over here. Then is a database layer that deals about the accessible to the layer user through the application layer, right? So here in this question, we have the four options: application, database, client and user, and the communication layer. So we know that in e-commerce architecture, there is no communication layer. So this option would be ruled out. Out of remaining three, we have very likely given the application layer the right answer because customer is checking for all the product on the website, and this is only the application layer that allow him to check out all the products on the website. Right?
Ma'am, Mr. Mondal is asking whether we should approach MCQs and cases. How should we approach? Do we do it as soon as we complete a chapter, or do it at the end after completing all the chapters? See, there are questions which are chapter based, and then we have integrated case scenarios which are entire syllabus based. So when we are doing the chapter, you can always do its questions after the completion of each chapter. So this will ensure that all the independent MCQs are through. So जो independent MCQs होते हैं, they belong to a particular chapter. You do them at the end of each chapter, right? But when you are through with your study material, पूरे हो गए जब पांचों chapters, then you attempt the integrated case scenarios, and all these questions are the part of our booklet. January 22 edition जो है, you should refer to that so that you gain a very good. आप वो करेंगे अच्छे से, so you will have a good understanding about how do you go about MCQs, और आप अच्छा कर पाएंगे perform in your examination.
In the booklet in beginning we have the MCQ. So after completion your chapter, you can do the independent MCQ. Once you are through with all the chapter, the complete syllabi, at the end we have the 25 case scenarios over there. So you can practice that case.
And Akriti is asking for the blockchain. So blockchain we will discuss just after the completion of this question. So we will in very short explain you what blockchain is. And then later on, if you will still have any doubt, you can send us the mail and we'll and then specify about what kind of a doubt you have in blockchain. But broad understanding we will just discuss after the completion of this question.
So this question is based on the marketing. It says Ms. Radha started a new business through a website www.tastyfood.com, wherein food vendors and restaurants associated with her as a partner. The customer can place the order for the food of his or her choice of the vendor through the website. This is an example of Dash. So there are certain e-marketing models are given over here. So can we have the answer of this question?
Okay.
Model it's written over there for the client and the user interface. This is a layer that helps the customer to connect with the e-commerce merchant.
They are asking for this question. I'm थोड़ा इसलिए emphasize. Client interface they are asking. Many of them are asking. हाँ जी.
This one. And whereas the application is basically through this application, customer can log on to the system and allow the customer to check the product. Right? An example is given over here. For example, when a user buy a mobile phone from the e-commerce merchant, it includes a user, web browser, and web server. So that is how the client and user interface link with the website. But when the server or the merchant website, allow him to further navigate inside its website. That becomes the application layer, because that includes application server as well as a backend server. And backend server will allow me to go inside and know about the what are the products over there, how can we purchase from there, and what are the, say, for the qualities and the features mentioned of that particular product on the website. So this is the main difference in the client and user interface of the application layer.
जैसे कि अभी मैम ने बताया आपको, जो एग्जाम्पल के थ्रू इफ यू विल सी, यू विल बी एबल टू अंडरस्टैंड, बिकॉज देर इज सीम्स टू बी क्वाइट अ कंफ्यूजन अबाउट दीज टू लेयर्स. ये दोनों लेयर्स में आप देखिए डिफरेंस समझिए. एप्लीकेशन लेयर बिलोंग्स टू द एप्लीकेशन. अब आप मिंत्रा की वेबसाइट पे जाते हैं, इफ यू जस्ट डाउनलोड अ मिंत्रा ऐप, राइट? So when the moment you enter into the Myntra app, that becomes where you are working on the application layer, क्योंकि Myntra app पे आप पहुंच गए हैं. But Myntra app पे पहुंचने से पहले you have to have the mobile app. आपने मोबाइल है, मोबाइल में आपने पहले गूगल क्रोम खोला और यू हैव ओपन अप द प्ले स्टोर. यू हैव टू हैव द इंटरनेट फैसिलिटी विद यू, या अगर आप उसको लैपटॉप से यूज कर रहे हैं सो यू हैव टू हैव द ब्राउजर. गूगल क्रोम के थ्रू आप जा रहे हैं. सो दीज आर द क्लाइंट यूजर इंटरफेसेस. एक ऐसा इंटरफेस जिससे मैं एप्लीकेशंस को एक्सेस करूंगा. ठीक है, तो एक इंटरफेस अपने को चाहिए थ्रू विच आई कैन जस्ट यूज दैट इंटरफेस टू लॉग ऑन इनटू मल्टीपल एप्लीकेशंस. तो जब वो इंटरफेस मुझे मिलेगा, दैट विल बी द यूजर इंटरफेस, जो मेरे को एज अ इंटरफेस मुझे मिल गया. और आज की डेट में वो सारे ग्राफिकल इंटरफेसेस होते हैं. उस इंटरफेस में मैंने क्या ऐप एक्सेस करी, क्या ऐप मैंने डाउनलोड करी, और जब मैंने वो ऐप में मैंने काम करना शुरू किया, देन आई एम वर्किंग ऑन द एप्लीकेशन लेयर. तो सबसे पहली चीज, आई हैव टू हैव द मोबाइल, आई हैव टू हैव द इंटरनेट. तो क्लाइंट इंटरफेस या यूजर इंटरफेस वो वेब ब्राउजर या वेब सर्वर या इंटरनेट फैसिलिटीज हैं. And then the application layer which belongs to a particular application. I hope, please confirm if you have understood this particular point. All those who raised this question, please confirm. Okay, ma'am.
So here in this question, we have, as I told you, the different e-marketing models. First is the e-shop, which is basically a virtual shop that sells the product. E-mall, that is a combination or collaboration of the e-shops that are grouped together under a single internet address. E-auctions, that provides a channel for the communication through which bidding process for the products or the services can take. And last is buyer aggregator, bringing together the large number of individual buyers so that they can gain types of savings that are usually previous for the large number of buyers, right?
मॉडल को क्रिस्टल क्लियर हो गया. गुड गुड मॉडल जी. नाइस.
So they can place the order, and many restaurants are attached with that. So most of you have given the answer, that is buyer aggregator. Again, I told you that these are the diagrams that we have made. So in the same way, you can mention over here, because when we know that there are so many 9 models are there. So for each model, there are certain specification. Like for the e-shop, it is a virtual shop. Whereas the e-mall, it is a accumulation for the collection of the e-shops. E-auction, that provides a channel for the communication, and the buyer aggregator, that bringing together large number of buyers to give the benefits to the large number of the buyers. The answer is buyer aggregator. In the same way, we have the different types of the digital payments. Say IMPS, mobile app, mobile wallet, Aadhaar-enabled payment services, unstructured, mobile banking, cryptocurrency, and then we have the cards, which we have the plastic card, debit card, smart card, credit card, and the internet banking. On that base, if we have the question, Dash is an empathetic tool to transfer money instantly within the bank across the India through mobile and internet banking and ATM. So there are 4 options given over here. So for each and every option, we need to find out whether that can be fitted over here. Out of these 4, that can be fitted over here with this definition that allow me to transfer the money through mobile, internet, banking, and ATM. So if we go one by one, on your page number 4.52 of the study, you have answer of all this definition of all these questions. The very first says about UPI apps, right? So it is basically for changing the very face of banking and allow the system multiple bank accounts, several banking services, fund transfer in a single mobile application. Whereas for Aadhaar payment, we need to have an Aadhaar card allow the bank-to-bank transaction deducted from your bank and credited, right? You need to link Aadhaar card number for the bank account.
ये इनकी यूनिकनेस है, यही इनको डिफ्रेंशिएट करते हैं. इनकी वर्किंग सारे के सारे डिजिटल पेमेंट्स हैं. दैट मीन्स ब्रॉडली तो सारे के सारे डिजिटली पेमेंट करने के लिए काम आते हैं, बट वर्किंग में थोड़ा सा फर्क है ना. और इन्हीं के बेसिस पे एमसीक्यू आएगा. इन्हीं के बेसिस पे आपको आइडेंटिफाई करना रहेगा कि विच डिजिटल पेमेंट मेथड इज यूज्ड इन दिस केस. तो मैम वही बता रही है आपको.
चलिए एक बार हम इसमें ये चीज देखते हैं, जैसे भी मैम ने बोला पॉइंट मुझे भी ध्यान आ गया. If we talk about UPI, the very first line says UPI and retail banking are changing the face of banking in terms of moving most of banking to the digital platform using mobile and the apps, right? So this is not the key point.
Yes.
This is only to make you understand how it works, like what is the main benefit of it. Like, it has changed the banking face, right? But the uniqueness is that powers the multiple bank accounts, several banking services, and like fund transfer merging in a single mobile application. It is a payment mode that makes the instant fund transfer from the sender bank account to the receiver bank account. So these are the main key points for this application, not these two, right? So for the USSD, it is to make the payment through the mobile. There is no need for the internet or the smartphone. And the last is IMPS, that allows instant electronic fund transfer to mobile phone. It is a tool that instantly within a bank to mobile, internet banking and ATM. So this is the main definition of it, which is mentioned over there, and the answer would be the D. So one by one we have done. And remember one thing like we have done. So while writing the answer, make sure the key points, it can come on the short note, it can come the combined, and MC can come over here. So for that, you need to know about what are the key points over here, and then only you can mention the answer. So coming towards the cloud computing, which is one of the emerging technology, we have in the cloud computing characteristics, advantages and drawbacks. As ma'am rightly said in the beginning, these three are the different things. Characteristics are different, advantages are different, and drawbacks are the different. So if question demands what are the characteristics of the cloud computing, we don't expect you to write only the advantages and you say, okay, we have written the answer. No, it's clear cut mention over there. You have to write about the characteristics. If a question about advantages, so then don't write the characteristics over here. And again, with the compensation of the marks, it comes for the 6 marks. So you accordingly you have to write the answer. If it comes to 4 marks, again you have to write the answer accordingly. And if we talk about the cloud computing environment, we have 4 types of the cloud: private cloud, public cloud, hybrid public cloud. For each and every cloud, we have the definition, we have the application, we have the limitations, we have the advantages for each and every cloud. So you need to have a thorough understanding of each and every cloud. Then we have the certain service model of the cloud computing, like we have IaaS, that is infrastructure as a services. Then we have the platform as a services, software as a services, and the other services model. Then again, issues related to cloud computing. So it is a broad chart, what are included in your cloud computing. Under each and every point, we have the certain points. Like if we talk about the infrastructure as a services, certain examples are given over there, advantages are given over here, characteristics are given over here, and usage is given over here. So MCQ can pose on any of the part, and it can directly ask the question about detail of this question.
Or differentiate between any two service models.
Service.
तो 4 नंबर का सपोज क्वेश्चन आता है डिफरेंस बिटवीन एनी टू मॉडल्स, तो यू हैव टू राइट अकॉर्डिंगली. इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर एज अ पॉइंट का एक है, इसका एक पॉइंट है, फिर देन समेट. सो दिस वे टेबुलर फॉर्म में डिफरेंशिएशन अगर आ सकता है तो वेल एंड गुड. सो मतलब चीजें जो हैं वही हैं, इट्स जस्ट हाउ द क्वेश्चंस आर पोज्ड टू यू, सो यू शुड बी एबल टू आंसर एप्रोप्रिएटली. ओके.
Now in this question, ABC University want to conduct online exam for the different courses for which a contract is given to vendor XYZ. The vendor provides computing resources such as processing power, memory storage, network to ABC University user to run their online exam applications on demand. Identify the service model of the cloud computing that vendor XYZ is providing. to ABC University and also describe its characteristics. Now this question says you have to firstly identify the model and then you have to describe its characteristics.
करेंगे identify बच्चे? Can
Yes.
our audience help us out in identifying? Question को पढ़ो. Just read the question again. That what kind of services does ABC University is asking for from the service provider XYZ? Yes, any fair idea? And ma'am, we can again scroll at so that they can just see what all service models do we have. So quick response in 10 seconds in simply identification. Okay. It's coming
Model
out
is
to
very
be
fast.
IAAS.
Okay, Naresh.
Okay, very nice. Neelabjo is saying IAAS. Then Naresh is also telling us about IAAS. And it is actually the infrastructure. Now, अब आपने किस basis पे इसको निकाला? He is providing us the answer also as hardware and computing resources are given. तो अब आपका ये पूरा question wrong हो जाएगा if the identification is not correct, right? Because if supposedly somebody identifies here it as say platform as a service and then उसकी characteristic describe हो गई तो सारा आंसर wrong हो गया. अभी एक आए हैं मिस्टर चित्तला, he is saying SaaS सॉफ्टवेयर एज अ सर्विस. नो मैम, एक बार आप इनको बता दीजिए कि IaaS क्यों है.
I've got here an example. Suppose like if I say everything is provided by me or I'm using it up. So that is my own on-site legacy services that I have. If I'm having IaaS, like you have say frozen pizza with you. So for that you need to have a dining table. You have to have the cool drink or the drinks with you. You have to have the electricity or the oven where you will bake it because you have the frozen pizza with you. So that model comes over here, your IaaS, infrastructure as a services. Rest all the services are provided by me to my vendor or my service provider manager. The second comes over here, say PaaS, go and take away. Right? For that only you need to have the cold drinks and your dining table. Everything. Pizza topping, electricity, oven, everything will be provided over here. Right? The third option comes, as you said, Chitale, SaaS. That is software as a services. I have nothing to do. I have just go to Pizza Hut, place an order. They will provide me the dining. They will provide me the sauce. They will spend the electricity, AC, and every infrastructure over here. So if you keep that example in your mind, then you can find out. So here in question, it mentioned over there, processing power, storage, memory, and network. So when we see the definition which is mentioned on the page 4.7 of your study material, hardware level service provider computer resources such as processing power, memory storage, network for the cloud to run the application. So the very first question I make it clear that okay, it is infrastructure as a services. So try to give more and more time to this question because the whole question will be wrong if you wrongly predict the answer. Which service model is to be there? So once you are not sure about that, then again read the question. Then find out what are the services they are providing. They are providing power, memory, network, everything they are providing. So that means the infrastructure they are providing me. So according to the definition, the answer would be the infrastructure as a services. Then we can write all the characteristics over here: web resources, centralized management, elasticity, shared, various infrastructure services we write over here. Right? On the basis of that, we have the MCQ. It says a company approached Amazon Web Services to provide them access virtual machine for the data processing. Which type of the following cloud service model would be used? Network as a services, infrastructure, platform, and software. Now, it is the same question based on the previous one we have done. So, can we have the answer for this question?
10 seconds because we want to take chapter 5 and we want to take one integrated case scenario with you. And that is the minimum that we wish to complete today. So just a quick reply on that part. Okay, options are coming out to be C, platform. Okay. Naresh is saying Ajay, Mr. Ajay is saying platform as a service. Okay, why platform? Can anybody explain on that part also? I think yeah. Okay, now you see what's going to be the answer.
The answer is infrastructure. Because Amazon Web Services, Google Compute Engine, they are the example of this one because they provide the web access to the services. If you say the C platform, they are basically app engine. They provide you the base of that. On basis of that, to make your own customized app, right? So here they are not providing the platform. They are providing. See, read the question. It is given over there.
Virtual machines.
Yeah.
So it's the part of the infrastructure.
Infrastructure. Clear? It's not the platform that they are providing to us.
और देखिए आंसर में दोनों ऑप्शंस हैं. आंसर में दोनों ऑप्शंस हैं. तो
has been the right answer, right?
Yes, good, 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 Mr. Chitla. Okay.
The next is chapter number
Core
5,
banking
core
systems.
banking system.
So it's a hardcore chapter which is talking about the banking systems and the various facilities that are provided in the core banking systems. And we know that banking system has actually evolved like anything, and it has made our task so easy. So whenever we have the banking systems or the software that are there installed in the banks, we do have certain risks associated with each of the process, right? So nowadays frauds are happening like anything. तो जैसे जैसे बैंकिंग सिस्टम्स में चीजें इवॉल्व हो रही है, मोर एंड द मोमेंट वी आर ट्राइंग टू गिव मोर एंड मोर फैसिलिटीज टू द यूजर्स, ओटीपी जनरेट होगा, एंड दे आर द अगेन द थिंग्स which are coming in the public domain and are getting hacked. So we are talking about the core banking systems, but we are talking here mainly about the risks that are associated with the banking software. Now, what is a banking service? There are unlimited number of services. The bank keeps on providing us so many. Every off and on, one new service gets added. So these are few banking and finance services that are there, which are provided to us from by different banks, and they have certain technicalities associated with it. But what we emphasize here mainly is, like for example, because lot many times we have been taking the this MCQ questions, but now just for an example of yours, suppose this is a question, because technically if we see, we are again and again emphasizing on how much do you need to write vis-a-vis a particular question. So suppose the question here is asking about explain any two modes of EFT, or if it's there, explain any two modes of EFT, and the question is of 4 marks. So that means I can choose any two modes which are given here, and I have to explain those points for 2 marks each. Suppose I choose to write about RTGS and NEFT, then the explanation should be sufficient enough to fetch 2 marks for me for each of the mode. But supposedly, if the question is specifically talking about the RTGS, that means, and the question is of say 2 marks, again I will have to write to an extent that it suffices for 2 marks. So the question could be specific, or it could be a superset talking about the different modes of EFT. So whichever way the question is, you again and again will simply be writing about the critical thing about that particular topic. वही लिखने से आपके नंबर्स मिलेंगे, इधर उधर की बातें करने से आपको आंसर्स नहीं मिलेंगे. अगेन इट्स अ डायग्राम विच वी हैड प्रिपेयर्ड just to show that okay, these are the CBS products, what are there. अभी पढ़ने में when we keep on scrolling in the pages, we get to see, oh my god, 10, 11, 12 pages are there. But if I get to see, suppose credit cards is getting covered in say 3 to 4 pages. So I just need to capture the important points so that I am able to write the answers vis-a-vis 6 marks. Maximum 6 नंबर का क्वेश्चन आएगा, बट अंडरस्टैंडिंग मुझको पूरी होनी पड़ेगी so that I can give the, or I can derive the answers for the MCQs. Now again here, we have already taken such a question in chapter 2, I guess, risks and controls. So in तरीके के questions पे like Mr. X mortgaged his old flat and took a loan from ABC Bank to set up his new business. The said transaction was recorded in the ABC Bank के software में. Discuss any two risks and their corresponding controls. So very much important. कंट्रोल्स अलग नहीं चलेंगे, रिस्क अलग नहीं चलेंगे. रिस्क जो है कॉरेस्पॉन्डिंग कंट्रोल मेंशन करना है. सो देन ओनली यू विल बी एबल टू what you say, do the justice to the requirement of the question. So there are say 4 or 5 risks vis-a-vis each risk we have a control. So if the question is of say 4 marks, you will have to mention all the 4 risks and all the 4 corresponding controls. But if the question is of say only 2 marks, then you will simply be writing about any 2 risks vis-a-vis their control. Okay, this is what is expected, and the examiner will look on for those. Shouldn't be a case कि risk यहाँ पर चलाया और उसका control आपने दूसरा ले लिया. There should not be that kind of a mix. ऐसे नहीं रहेगा. So the next takeaway that you should have is the sequence of steps is required to be maintained while answering the process of cycle-based questions. ये अभी पहले discuss किया. Here we are talking about a money laundering question. Now, if the question is a descriptive question wherein all the stages are supposed to be discussed. Now, discussed है. 3 steps are there. Question is of 6 marks. हर point को इतना लिखिए 2 नंबर मिल जाए. ठीक है. Suppose आपने 2 ही points लिखे and third point you have skipped in its entirety. So obviously आपको 4 नंबर के हिसाब से नंबर मिलेंगे because 2 marks are considered to be non-attempted. When there are 3 stages and each stage needs to be mentioned and you are simply mentioning about 2 stages and you are skipping on the last stage or any one of the stage, then you are getting the number out of 4 only. This you have to keep in mind. It's not that you have explained placement and layering to an extent कि 3 number जितना आपने लिख दिया, but you will not get marks because the answer is incomplete. No matter how detailed you explain the other 2 points. Okay. And similarly, if the same question comes as a MCQ, wherein you are supposed to arrange the steps that are involved in the money laundering phase, there you need to check on for the correct sequence and you need to select. So all the types of options are available, but you will have to select the or choose the correct option. So this is how you will be recapitulating the entire syllabus. And practice number 7 that is applicable throughout our discussion is practice the questions in writing after proper understanding of the topics. Please write the answers, because MCQs you don't need to write, but same thing you are being tested on for in different manner. तो हर तरीके से अपने को रेडी करना है. नो मैटर, आई नीड टू नो द सीक्वेंस, आई नीड टू नो द इन डेप्थ, प्लस आई नीड टू नो द हेडिंग्स ऑल्सो. तो हर चीज वही है. 500 पेज स्टडी मटेरियल इज देयर विद यू, बट you will have to deliver in a very specified manner what is asked. 2-3 चीजों को, characteristics, benefits, advantages, इन सब चीजों में स्टूडेंट्स बहुत कंफ्यूज होते हैं, और ये तभी कंफ्यूजन होता है when they do not practice in writing. So moment you start writing and you start writing the examples, अब जैसे वो पीछे मैम ने अभी डिस्कस किया Amazon वेब सर्विसेज का, so that was one question which was quite confusing. The moment you get to see web services, आपने बोल दिया सॉफ्टवेयर, बट देन हमें देखना रहेगा कि वहां पर वर्चुअल मशीन्स है, सो दे बिकम अ पार्ट ऑफ इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर. सो दोज आर वेरी लिमिटेड बट माइन्यूट थिंग्स one has to keep in mind while preparing. Now we will discuss one integrated case scenario. So I'll read the question. Please do it thoroughly. I suppose our audience is still with us. And how many of you want to discuss this integrated case scenario? Because we would like to have the, before that we have skipped on the blockchain topic. Okay. Now, it was there in chapter 4. Blockchain, you will have to consider it as an example, with an example. That suppose I have a Google document and that I share with on my, or I broadcast it, and a lot of people are able to see that Google document. But the permission right therein is that nobody can delete anybody else's part. One can only and only add on to it. So what will happen, that I am able to see the others inputs, what others have done into it, but I am not able to change it, and the trail and the logs are also getting maintained, that at what time which particular person has given what, and there is no control. I am not able to control the other user. Whosoever is able to give the input into that Google document, he or she is able to append. So what is happening, that we are only and only able to add. So likewise, if you see in the blockchain also, if any transaction is getting happened, that transaction is broadcasted. So anybody can have a look at it, and anybody can make the changes in it. Changes in the sense, only append it. One can only add on to it, and then those particular activities are getting registered as a block. So a chain is getting maintained, and each input that is getting registered is getting appended as a block. So we call it as a blockchain, and then there is no owner about it. Who started this and where is it going to end? To whomsoever it is going, anybody and everybody is able to make the input into it. So this becomes a risky venture as of now, because there is no control, there is no management of the risks associated with it. But government is planning to use this blockchain technology in many areas like health industry. Most importantly, they are trying to do it in the property maintenance of the property records, right? So kahan se start hua, who was the initial owner of a particular property, land, then who, from which hands did it get bought and sold, वो सारी transactions जो हैं, they are getting registered, and then that particular transaction, that particular blockchain will be giving, this is going to have the transparency, that who bought it, when was it sold, कितने पे sell हुआ, कितने पे buy हुआ. So the technologies are evolving right now, but because a lot of risks are associated, so people are still vulnerable to use these technologies, right? Okay, now we can talk about the integrated case scenario. So please read the question very carefully, because based on this, we will be posing certain questions to you. Since 1990s, RS Limited has been one of the leading companies in India. They deal in the business of pulses. Lately, in 2019, with the purpose to expand its business, the management of RS Limited decided to start its business in the field of spices as well. To develop infrastructure now, because they are expanding, so they need to have the proper infrastructure, they need to develop it and procure necessary processing equipment in order to promote cross-sell activities. The management used various data analytical techniques to predict customers' behavior. क्या कस्टमर मेरे मेरे कौन से प्रोस्पेक्टिव कस्टमर्स रहेंगे एंड व्हाट विल बी द देयर लाइक्स एंड डिसलाइक्स, उसके लिए दे used data analytical techniques to understand the behavior or to predict the behavior of their customers and probability of equipment failure, that if they will procure new equipments, what will be the probability of getting their failed. Based on the results, the management of RS Limited selected a supplier. एक supplier उन्होंने choose किया and obtained the requisite equipment. उन्होंने देखा कि क्या क्या उनको hardware चाहिए, उसके basis पे they selected one supplier and they demanded for those hardware devices or the equipment from them, spices की production के लिए, from it so as to increase its production and to provide quality products to its customers. ठीक है? Now what happened? At that time, XY Limited had a policy to offer a discount of 2% to its customers if the cash payment, because XY Limited is a service provider, so the company has to pay a certain amount to them. So they had a policy that you pay 2%, they will give the discount if the cash payment was made within 7 days. Lekin RS Limited made the payment of rupees 5 lakh after 10 days using RTGS settlement facility and did not avail the discount. तो उनको डिस्काउंट का कुछ भी फायदा नहीं रहा. Then RS Limited को equipment मिल गए. RS Limited installed these new procured machines in its various operational units, and to operate them, the workforce of RS Limited was strengthened. अब इतने सारे equipments आ गए हैं, so they need to have a task force. They have to have more employees to work under them. Furthermore, RS Limited decided to expand its business ventures through online mode. इन्होंने इसको ऑनलाइन में भी एक्सप्लोर किया. by collaborating with various renowned e-commerce websites. They don't have their own website, so they collaborated with various renowned e-commerce websites where it can offer its products. क्या कर रहे हैं? Where it can offer its products to customers under various discounts and schemes. These websites would display the electronic catalog of RS Limited, what all RS Limited has to sell, and in return, RS Limited shall pay these websites suitable commission charges from the sales revenue generated from these sites. So in sites से जितना भी sale revenue generate हुआ, RS Limited has to pay certain amount back to those e-commerce websites. With the business expansion, the management of RS Limited noticed to bring out following changes in their existing setup में कुछ changes लगाने की उनको जरूरत लगी. What? Their organization security policy shall be made more robust. उन्हें लगा कि अब सिक्योरिटी की ज्यादा जरूरत है बिकॉज बिजनेस इज एक्सपैंडिंग सो दे हैव टू हैव अ सिक्योरिटी पॉलिसी एंड दे हैव टू हैव बिजनेस कंटिन्यूटी प्लान्स इन केस कुछ डिजास्टर हो जाता है हाउ बेटर एंड इन शॉर्ट टाइम दे कैन अगेन री एस्टैब्लिश देयर बिजनेस दैट विल फॉर्मुलेट पार्ट ऑफ द बिजनेस कंटिन्यूटी प्लान. ये इनको बनाने की जरूरत फील हुई. टू मिटिगेट द रिस्क ऑफ अनऑथराइज्ड एंट्रीज इन देयर वर्किंग एनवायरनमेंट, द RS Limited switched its manual attendance system to biometric because now the task force has increased. तो अब मैनुअली अटेंडेंस नहीं मेंटेन हो पा रहा है, सो दे वुड गो फॉर द बायोमेट्रिक सिस्टम्स. एंड टू एनहांस द फिजिकल सिक्योरिटी लाइक द डिप्लॉयमेंट ऑफ सिक्योरिटी गार्ड्स, इंस्टॉलेशन ऑफ CCTV कैमरास इज रिक्वायर्ड टू सुपरवाइज द विजिटर. और विजिटर्स का फुटफॉल वगैरह जो भी है उसको भी कंट्रोल या डिटेक्ट करने के लिए दे हैव इंस्टॉल्ड द सिक्योरिटी गार्ड्स एंड इंस्टॉल्ड द CCTVs. नाउ these type of questions that are there, they have already been discussed. We have already discussed in length about these risk management. तो पहला question करते हैं and we will not discuss the answer. आप मुझे बताएंगे what shall be the answer. Ma'am, can you read the question for me?
The question says a company RS Limited decided to buy new equipments for the latest business crisis. Which risk management strategy is being exercised by the management if decided to buy new machineries from XYZ Limited? Right? So already we have done the risk management strategies about the tolerate, terminate, transfer and the treat the risk. So if you know and it's mentioned in your case scenario, because these are the questions that are based on your case scenario. So it's mentioned over there. Decided to select a supplier to obtain the requisite equipment from to increase the production and quality. So it is mentioned over there. So find out the answer. Okay, we get the answer that Mondal says
Tolerate.
Tolerate.
He's saying tolerate the risk.
No, it's a terminate the risk because it says that best to modify any project strategies to avoid them altogether. And its example clearly mentioned that risk to be associated with the use of a technology supplier. Risk can be eliminated by replacing that technology with a new robust product.
मॉडल ये टॉलरेट तब रहता है अगर हम एग्जिस्टिंग सेटअप में ही कुछ चेंजेस करते हैं. बट लेकिन क्या हुआ कि वी आर प्रोक्योरिंग न्यू इक्विपमेंट, तो यानी कि जो पुराने इक्विपमेंट है वी आर switching from that. That means we are not tolerating, we are simply removing any kind of a risk और हम उसको खत्म करके चल रहे हैं कि ठीक है अभी इसमें कोई changes existing में नहीं है, we need to procure new equipment. So that way it's going to be the
it's clearly mentioned over there, no? This to predict the probability of equipment failure, and then they decided to select a new supplier to obtain the requisite equipment to increase its production. Then the next question is, which type of core banking services is being used by RS Limited to make a payment to XYZ Limited for the purchase of necessary processing equipment?
RTGS से पे किया था.
RTGS से पे किया था, अभी हमने देखा उसमें, तो कौन सा आएगा आंसर?
Yes. We are waiting for another 5 seconds. No answer.
It is remittance because
Under
RTGS.
Okay, because RTGS का part है remittances. So if you will see, you will get to have that answer.
Next question is, for a new business of spices, RS Limited decided to collaborate with a renowned e-commerce website for selling its product through online mode. Which of the following term related to e-marketing fit best in this case?
Okay. This is for which now we are getting answered as A. It is for this question or for the previous one? Just write the option also, e-malls, buyer aggregator, so that we get to see whether you are answering for 2 or answer for question number 3. Ajay, Akriti? Malls, e-malls. Somebody is saying B, lot of different answers, all the options have come.
It cannot be the B because we have done that. When we have collaboration, in to give the benefits over there. Whereas it says they are selling the product, collaborate with the websites. So answer is A. And answer cannot be the.
This PDF will be available to you on the BoS Knowledge portal and on the mobile app also, right? So you can fetch that PDF in a day's time. In a day's time, it will get uploaded. So you can fetch it from there. It will be uploaded on the mobile app as well. Okay. So through app also you can have the reference.
Okay. Next question is, considering the expansion of business, RS Limited uses various data analytical tools to predict customer behavior. Which advanced data analytical tool you think has been used by the company?
Okay. Now for this question number 4, option numerical analysis, data warehouse, predictive analysis, data mining. To predict the customer's behavior, data analytical tools. So what do you think should be the advanced data analytical tool used in this case? I think you should provide the answer here. C, 4 का C बता रहे हैं, predictive analysis. Very well. Very nice.
Answer is on the page number 2.60 of your study. It's mentioned over there, predictive analysis to predict the customer behavior, equipment failure, and the other future
Events.
And the last question based on this, RS Limited decided to restrict unauthorized access in the company by changing the employee attendance system from manual to the biometric, which control under the application control framework deals with the biometric authentication.
Okay, quick one on this part also. Question number 5, what should be the answer? You have to restrict the unauthorized access in the company by changing its employee attendance system from manual to biometric. What do you think should be the control here?
Is it input, processing, boundary, or the communication?
Yes, quickly. Boundary.
Very good. We get the answer. See, in this case, you can do one thing. Odd man out. Communication cannot be there because you are restricting the entry. So, this option automatically would be ruled out. So, out of remaining 3, you can find out the one more, the correct answer.
Boundary. Well done. Very well done. Yeah, because what we have understood is that the audience that was associated with us today, they very much
nice.
Yeah, very nice and actively participated. We must see if we are able to contribute even 20-25% in your preparation, our purpose gets solved, because we are here not to guide you, because for that live virtual classes are already happening and I know that you are all attending them very carefully, and the recorded lectures are also there with you. So we were here to basically elaborate on certain specifications that you need to keep in mind. You have one month's time. Try putting up the crux of everything in your notes so that they become the ready reference for you before your examination. और जब आपको exam में revision करने की जरूरत पड़े, you simply pick up those notes and do it. And the material that is already there on the on the BoS Knowledge portal, you should keep on looking onto it. आप RTP और mock test paper attend कीजिए. RTP के questions खुद पहले करिए and then try matching those answers. They are again not one-to-one matching नहीं करना है, but am I nearby close to what is expected? जब आप खुद लिखेंगे, when you will be attempting those questions, you will realize whether you are comfortable in this particular topic or not. ऐसा तो नहीं है कि I thought that I am through with this topic, but when it comes to writing, I am not able to write. I am not able to recapitulate. लिखना क्या है इसके अंदर? Ma'am, I know the concept very carefully. I can explain you, but when it comes to writing, मेरे को नहीं समझ में आ रहा है. वो राइटिंग आपको तभी आएगा दैट व्हेन यू आर रिवाइजिंग, राइट डाउन द पॉइंट्स, अपने छोटे छोटे कीवर्ड्स लिखिए और आपको ये पता होना चाहिए कि व्हेन आई एम सपोज टू राइट इनटू दिस देन व्हाट मेजर थिंग्स आई नीड टू एम्फसाइज, उसके आसपास आप अपनी लैंग्वेज में लिखेंगे, यू आर बाउंड टू गेट द मार्क्स. ठीक है. So
certain points were try to give you the certain key points and the tips to present yourself in the question in the examination. And for any questions, any queries, till you have any doubt, you can put your questions on the mobile app, and the screen is showing you the subject ID. You can pose your question, and when you are posing the question, I request you to please be specific, and you are most welcome to ask any of the questions.
yeah, and the audience who were there with us, we would love to see your feedback, no matter, not about the session, that we would, when your result will come, we would like to see you passing this examination, and then you should send us a mail that we really passed the examination. That is the only and only motto of ours. And feel free to connect with us on the email ID eis-inter@icare.in for any feedback if you have, or for any queries if you have, you can send us the mail across, right? Okay, all the very best. Okay, ma'am. So from our side, all the very best. Do well. Thank you.